fuck our shit up, right? All right, so just before I went live, shit. So just before I went live on here, obviously I have to go to YouTube. So YouTube tells me, hang on, let me see if this is even working. Okay, this is working. Okay, so YouTube suggests that I watch this video, Trump Train Wreck, MS Now. This is a news station, MS Now. And it's this broad, she's pretty prominent. This video has 316,000 likes, 21,000 comments. So I'm watching it. Let me just show you how my brain works. Right? So this is when Trump was talking about his uncle and the Unabomber. Dr. John Trump. Remember when dumbass said all this shit? Funny how that just went away. This dumbass is never held responsible for the things he says, right? So watch.
But again, to sum that up, Trump says his uncle taught the Unabomber at MIT, and apparently the question of all the possible questions Trump asked him was what kind of a student Kaczynski was.
Just watch.
And then he felt the need to share the detail that the Unabomber was a good student to some perplexed people.
Watch.
And yes,
Just
that's
watch.
a pretty weird,
like,
pretty
so
creepy.
you still like you think about this as you're supposed to. What a dumbass. That is weird. Or you think it's okay, Trump's great, everything he does is great. Either way, you think about it this way. So I'm watching the video. I think about the video a little bit differently.
Really
So watch.
To say at an event that was supposed to be about artificial intelligence, but it gets weirder.
It gets weirder,
because
huh?
the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, never
attended
attended
MIT.
MIT. And while Trump
Like,
did have an uncle.
Again, so now this is where it gets weird to me, right? Because you're supposed to focus on what a stupid ass he is and all the shit that's the obvious thing, right? But this is, and while Trump did have an uncle, watch.
Who worked at MIT, his uncle died in 1985, which is a full 11 years before the Unabomber.
So I see this and I go, the New York Times did a story on John Trump, engineer, just some random engineer, with Von de Graaff. He created high-volt X-ray generator. He created high-volt X-ray generator for cancer treatment. Not he created the high-volt X-ray generator, or a high-volt, an high-volt would be A, I guess, for cancer treatment. Dr. John G. Trump. Let's see what this article says. Is it a real article? Oh, shit.
It does not seem to.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find it first this way. New York Times. Is this the article? All right, let's see. Share full article, New York Times, about this archive. This is a digitized version of an article from the New York Times print archive before the start of online publication in 1996. To preserve these articles as they originally appeared, the Times does not alter, edit, or update them. Occasionally, the digitalization process introduces transcription errors or other problems. We are continuing to work to improve these archived versions. Why would that happen? Strange. So I guess this is the article. Dr. John Trump, a retired teacher and engineer, died Thursday at his home in Cambridge, Mass. after a long illness. He was 78 years old. Dr. Trump began studying the voltage insulation properties of high vacuum and compressed gases while a faculty member at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. working with Professor Robert J. van de Graaff, he designed one of the first million-volt X-ray generators, used initially for clinical purposes at the Collins P. Huntington Memorial Hospital. That was weird. All right. Well, all right. Is George Clinton still alive? They took your fentanyl. Of course, the one person that identifies as a black person is going to come on here and say that's something that's stupid. Being ignored activates the same regions as physical pain. Oh, okay. Again, look at all these dumbass comments. It's just insane. Just insane. Again, I always think about it like, you're standing at a family event and you're talking to another adult and you're talking about how the finances of this or the finances of that. And you see out of the corner of your eye, your little 7, 8-year-old nephew or whatever. And he's sitting there and you can see that he's looking for his opportunity to jump into the conversation. But he's stupid. He's a little kid. He doesn't know anything about finances or anything like that. He doesn't even really know what finances are. But then when you say something about money, he goes, I have $7.32 in my piggy bank. And you got to be like, oh, wow, that's really cool, buddy. All right, hey, I'm talking to Uncle Mike real quick. Why don't we, I'll come play with you in a little bit. Let me just finish this conversation and I'll come play with you, okay? And the kid's like, oh, okay. And the kid at least has the decency to run off. But you guys are like that, where it's just like, you just say such dumb things. And I don't understand, what the hell, what? Oh, we have the fake fucking priest here today. That's awesome. Wedding cake, all those big ones, some rice cakes, and some rainbow bells. Nice. Why would you tell people about your bank account? You stupid? You feel the need to brag? That's insane. I do an entire feed about all kinds of shit every day. And I'm attacked left and right and all this shit. And why would I feel the need to brag to fucking strangers? That's like, you make a bunch of money and you buy a gold necklace or some shit. So a big old diamond piece. So stupid. Why would you ever waste your money showing people you have money? I tell my kids, when you have a wad of money, you don't do what other people do, where you put the 100 on the outside. Sorry. Having conversations. But you put your 100 on the inside, and then you're 50 on top of that, and you're 20, and you're 5, and you put the ones on the outside. Why do you ever, like, I just can't imagine when you see it all the time, especially in the hood, especially with really stupid people. Like, you'll never, ever see rich people arguing and go, well, I got $5,000 in my pocket. You got any money on you? Well, how much money you got in your pocket? How about we say big bank takes little bank, huh? You'll never see people that stupid. Not rich people. Rich people don't live like that. Like Dave Chappelle said, that Kanye said. You know, billionaires don't wear their money. Millionaires do. And more, thousandaires do. I just think it's so silly that you know, you've been tricked into buying shiny rocks. Oh, look, somebody called Eli. Well, you can pretty much guess that they're a friar. If I ever get a 5 or a 10, I give it away. I hate them. They make me feel poor. Do you think anybody actually believes you? You honestly can't think anybody believes you, right? But again, this is that stupidity I'm always talking about. And even then, ask yourself, why is anybody here trying to get me to stop talking about the things I'm talking about? If I'm wrong about everything I'm talking about, everything I do, everything I say, why does it bother people so much? You know, I'm sitting here talking about Dr. John Trump. I was talking about Jared Kushner, and I'll go back to talking about Jared Kushner. But I just, you know, it's, if I'm wrong, what is motivating? It's fucking 9 in the morning on the East Coast. A lot of these people claim to be on the West Coast. So it's 6 in the morning on a Saturday. And instead of having a titty to cuddle up to, instead of having, you know, something cool going on in their life, instead of even watching something else or doing anything, they're like, guy, pay attention to me. I'm going to say stupid things. Does that sound normal to anybody? Does that sound real? Is that what you guys would do? Real people? Is that what you do? Is that how you live your life? I look for feeds where I disagree with the person and then I just try to interfere with what they're saying. And this guy says we should kill pedos and overthrow the friars, overthrow Israel. And I don't like that. Obviously. It's fucking strange, man. It's fucking strange. I'm such a loser that you watch me every day religiously. You never miss a show. You'll make fake profiles if I block this one. That's what a loser I am. Used initially for clinical purposes at Collins P. Huntington Memorial Hospital in Boston in 1937. It was a development that provided additional years of life to cancer patients throughout the world. In 1946, Dr. Trump, along with Dr. Van de Graaff and Dr. Dennis M. Robinson, founded the High Voltage Engineering Corporation, which developed the Van de Graaff electrostatic generator. Why would they call it the Van de Graaff thing, especially knowing how the Trumps are, knowing who the Trumps are? Knowing that they changed their name to Trump to fit, you know, because it trumps everything. To think that he's not going to put the Trump electrostatic, Trump Van de Graaff, what? Who? In World War II, Dr. Trump was influential in the development of radar and shortwave radar equipment. He was appointed director of the British branch of the MIT Radiation Lab in 1944. Why? Again, just think about how ridiculous this is. This guy works in X-rays. He created some X-ray generator machine used for clinical shit, and yet he's going to be instrumental in creation of shortwave radar equipment. Figure a Trump is directly associated with the military. It's amazing how frequently these stories are the same fucking stories. You won't find any actual information on them, don't worry. After the war, Dr. Trump, while still on faculty at MIT, became associated, so he was getting paid the whole time, became associated with the development of radiology at the Leahy Clinic in Boston, and later became chairman of its board. Oh, that reminds me of the Leahy Law that for some reason doesn't seem to apply to Israel. The Leahy Law says that any country that is harboring terrorists or, committing atrocities like a genocide, like everything Israel does, immediately the funding that they get stops until they produce the terrorist or fix the problem, whatever it is. But the Leahy Law is just that, is that anybody that is in violation like that, immediately the funding stops. Just not with Israel. Just not with Israel. Barron Trump is a time traveler. Sure. Under his direction, rotational radiation therapy was developed. I mean, this guy is just developing so many things. Like most people, you're lucky if they do one thing. Lucky if people are associated with one great breakthrough in their lives. And this guy is just you need something else? I gotcha. We need something to fit this narrative. Boom, right there. Rotational radiation therapy was developed, quote, an idea that created quite a stir in those days, he later recalled. He also conceived and developed the use of high-energy electrons in the treatment of superficial skin lesions. He received emeritus status. What is emeritus status? Emeritus status, or honorary, is an honorary, often post-retirement title bestowed upon distinguished faculty, librarians, and administrators for long-term meritorious service to an institution. It is not a right, but a conferred distinction allowing recipients to retain their title, their rank, while enjoying benefits like library access, email, and continued, often unpaid academic participation. This says he received emeritus status, but it doesn't say for what. I guess for MIT. Like, there's not even a period after he received emeritus status. Maybe that's like a second title, I guess. I don't know. He became professor emeritus at MIT in 1973, remaining on as a senior lecturer. Unpaid, sure, I believe that. He was the author of nearly 80 scientific publications and the recipient of many awards, including His Majesty's Medal given by George VI in 47, the President's Certificate of Merit presented by President Truman in 48, and the Lam Medal, awarded in 1960 by the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. In 1983, he was the recipient of the National Medal of Science. He was a graduate of the Polytechnic Institute in 1929, received a master's degree in physics from Columbia University in 31, and a doctorate from MIT in 33. So he graduated in 29. 2 years later, he had his master's, and 2 years after that, he had a doctorate. Like, does that sound believable? Does that sound like how shit works? And that's it's one of these things that you often find in these situations, in these scenarios, where you have these people that the timing just doesn't add up. How do you do that? How do you graduate, get a master's and a doctorate in 4 years? Pre-internet can just, type in and get your certificate. Don't you think that's just a little strange? Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe, especially when it comes to like engineering and like electrical shit. Don't you think that the doctorate, like what? Dr. John survived by John Gordon Trump. Isn't it weird how he never brings this guy up? He is survived by 3 children: John Gordon Trump of Waterton, Mass., Christine Phillip of Pittsfield, Mass., and Karen Ingraham of Los Alamos, New Mexico, and 6 grandchildren. He was the brother of Frederick C. Trump and the uncle of Donald Trump, New York real estate developers. This was a version from February 26, 1985. I still don't really understand why the New York Times would be covering this. Like, yeah, he had his contributions and shit, but I also want to see what the John P. Cunningham, what other things are on here. I wish I could see it. Somebody is fined for failing to report side effects of drugs. Oh, it must be Smith Klein. Oh, Smith Klein is fined for failing to report side effects of drugs. Can't read any of the other articles. That's all. I can only read that headline. But isn't this interesting? Interesting. And so I want to see, how long does it take to get a doctorate in engineering? A doctorate in engineering typically takes 4 to 7 years to complete in the U.S., with a median time of 5.6 to 5.7 years. The duration depends on whether the student enters with a bachelor's, closer to 5 to 6 years, or a master's degree, closer to 4 to 5 years, as well as research progress on and the advisor's demands. So, once you have your master's degree, it typically takes 4 to 5 years after that to get the doctorate. And yet, he was doing it in less than 2 years. Don't you think that's fucking strange? Okay, how long does it take to get a master's? A master's in engineering typically takes 1 to 2 years of full-time study to complete, usually requiring 30 to 60 credit hours, while some intensive programs can be finished in 12 months. Many students take 18 to 24 months. Part-time options are common, which can extend the duration to 3 to 5 years. A master's of engineering is often professional focused and can be completed within 1 year, whereas a master's of science is research based and thesis taking 1.5 to 2 years. Full-time students usually finish in 18 months to 2 years, while part-time students take 3 to 5. An accelerated program, some universities offer 4+1 programs, allowing students to earn both a bachelor's and a master's degree in 5 years. Okay, but that's not what happened. See, that would sort of make sense when you could say, oh, maybe they're combining the study, but still, even then, it just doesn't make any sense. We're talking about what they said is from bachelor's degree to master's degree to doctorate was 4 years. You know, he got the bachelor. It took, I think it's 2 years to get his bachelor's, 2 years to get his master's, and 2 years to get his doctorate. But he went from bachelor's to doctorate in 4 years. How's that possible? That's fucking strange. I don't know, maybe he's just awesome. He's just a lot more awesome than most. But it is strange that he never gets brought up. Trump never brings this man up. Like he's jealous. Like this man actually supposedly accomplished some shit, so Trump doesn't like that. You know, it's all bullshit. I definitely think it's strange. Yeah.
I need to pull back from attacking the problem. I'm losing
This
my
one's called
grasp on the
Edgar
left.
Casey versus Albert Pike. And it's strange because, again, like at this point in my journey, I don't even know if I believe in either of them, or at least
Crazy, but I'll never stop, so I hit every
the
pothole.
legitimacy of them. Like Edgar Casey, you would think would be like,
Why should I concern myself like I do?
you know, some huge cultural rock star at this point. And especially even at the time. But who knows? And then Albert Pike, you know, Argo always brings up Pike and Pike's plan. And I talk about it in a few different songs, but like, how do you even know? Maybe we should look up Albert Pike. Let's see what it's. Albert. Einstein's the first one, of course, because you have to know about Albert Einstein. All right, so Albert Pike, December 29th, 1809, April 2nd, 1891. Long life. Was an American author, poet, orator, editor, lawyer, jurist, and Confederate States Army general who served as an associate justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court in exile from 1864 to 1865. So, author, poet, orator, editor, lawyer, jurist. What the fuck is a jurist? A jurist is a legal scholar, expert, or writer who extensively studies, analyzes, and comments on the theory and philosophy of law, jurisprudence. Often holding advanced legal knowledge, they are distinguished from daily practitioners by their focus on scholarly, academic, or high-level judicial analysis. In the U.S., the term often refers to distinguished judges or legal scholars. So I always love this kind of shit because it's like, you know, times where my age actually actually helps. You know, nobody likes to be old. But when you like, so many of you don't, if you're younger than me, you don't remember the time before cell phones. You can't even imagine the time before cell phones. I have a hard time imagining it. Right? I lived it, and it's I still can't really wrap my head around it. It's fucking crazy. Oh yeah. Now I'm doing fentanyl. I'm a homosexual. Such a loser. Look at all this shit. Look at these things that people are saying because I'm talking about Albert Pike. 4 viewers, 5 likes, 2,500 subscribers. And for some reason, just like everything else, it doesn't matter what subject I talk about, these same people are so mad. Why are they so mad? Ooh. It's 9 in the morning on a Saturday, and they are here in full force, and they are upset. Again, now I have 2 viewers, 5 likes, and 2,500 subscribers. If you're watching, don't forget to like, share, and sub, because it should help. Theoretically, it should help. But we'll do this the same way we would if we were allowed to have the same view count everyone else is. And you know what's funny is, normally, I'm sure they wouldn't interfere with somebody talking about Albert Pike because they want you to be scared. And this is a scary narrative. But I think they know I'm going to pick it apart. And if I start picking this apart, it's just another piece that sucks, I guess. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe this will be like, holy shit, this is the truth. Oh. He had previously served as a senior officer of the Confederate States Army, commanding the District of Indian Territory in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. I love when they call shit like that theater, or they call the perpetrators actors. You know, we have an actor. There's a shooting situation, and the lead actor is nowhere to be found. Like, why the fuck are you calling him an actor? A prominent member of the Freemasons, dun dun dun, Freemasons. Ooh. Pike served as the sovereign grand commander of the Supreme Council, Scottish Reich, Southern Jurisdiction from 1859 to 1891. I love it. So something isn't right. Right? Either this is a complete fabrication, or the narrative we're given regarding history isn't an accurate one. Because if you look at what they'll talk about here, we're going to hear about this man supposedly being in multiple places, all over the country, if not the world. And we're talking about, 1809 to 1891, like prime reset. Like, this is exactly when it seems like these things happen. But, like, think about, okay, so this guy was the author, the poet, and author. Like, just think about that. Like, what was the printing process like back then? What was the publishing process like back then? Because today, your average Goyim isn't just writing a book and getting it published. It's a lot more difficult than you think it is. You really can't do it unless you involve yourself with friars. No publishing house will accept your work straight from you. They call that unsolicited material. So what you as the author have to do, you have to go find yourself what's called a literary agent, which is more than likely going to be a friar. And you have to either pay this person or guarantee them a percentage of your profits, whatever. And more than likely, they just want you to pay them. I'm sure, if they read it and liked it and they saw potential, they'd probably encourage you to let them do it and then give them a percentage. But that's right there. That's the first editor you have to get through. It's why you never see Jewish bad guys or Israeli bad guys in books and movies, TV shows, anything like that. Because there are all these gatekeepers in the way. So if you're some struggling artist and you're like, yeah, I wrote this story and the bad guy's name is Finkelstein, and the agent's like, look, I really like this book. I know a lot of really great publishers. I think we can get this done. I think we can make a lot of money, but we got to change that character. It can't be Finkelstein. It has to be, like Hamed or something more Arabic, or maybe something more North Korean or black. Maybe his name is like Jamal Johnson or something. We have to change that. And you, the artist with all your integrity and all this other shit, well, you're not going to, you're not going to have that stance where you're like, I refuse to compromise. At that point, you're going to be desperate. You're like, yeah, okay, I can change that. That's not a big deal. Not even thinking twice. You don't want to, you're noticed your agent's name is Finkelberg. So, you kind of had a thought that they might do that. But once the literary agent decides to let you pay them, they then take it. Now, the way it works is they can only shop it to one publishing house at a time. And each publishing house has, like, it's either 45 or 90 days exclusivity to decide whether they want to publish your book or not. So it only goes to one thing at a time. But so now if the publishing house, there's the first line of people at the publishing house that decide, hey, this might be something we're interested in. Let me kick this up. So first, they're going to circle the parts that should be changed. Then they kick it up, and they're going to circle the parts that should be changed. And then when it gets to the final, the decider in that regard, again, they have all this power. They're going to ask you, yeah, we're thinking about doing this, but you got to make these changes. Again, you're just going to do it. Okay, sure, whatever. And then, we have multiple editors. We have the final editor. If that final publisher actually wants to read it, you don't read everything they publish, but especially if something has some wings behind it, and everything that anybody wants to change has to be changed. And nothing you read is the original manuscript. Unless you happen to write that perfect narrative they like. And they decide. They don't know if everybody's like that book or not. They don't know. Like, tons of books bomb. Tons of books are unexpected successes. They have no idea. But this is how this whole thing works. So when you start hearing about, he was an author and a poet and all that, and you think like, okay, so what was publishing like back then? Because it's virtually impossible now. What was it like back then? What was the printing presses like back then? They hadn't invented the linotype machine yet. So what was early 1800s printing like? What was the publishing like? How did they mass produce multiple copies of books bound together, put together? We don't think about it because we think of books as antiquated technology at this point. You don't even think about it. Book? Who reads books? But they're actually pretty spectacular when you think about like what went into making that, especially prior to any sort of modern day advancement. And the crazy part is you go look at these old school books, and these old books are even more beautiful. The writing is perfect, written where there's all these loop-de-loops and shit. There'll be illustrations all over the indexes or the margins, all these pictures and diagrams and all these things all over gold, gilded fucking golden embossed this, that. Like, the books used to be just beautiful. You know how we like to, put stickers on shit? This is my laptop because I put these cool stickers. Look, this one says coexist. Look, see? It personalizes my laptop. And now you can buy other shit that I don't. Skins, different skins. Shit is fascinating to me how they got that to happen. As somebody who played video games their whole life, the idea that all of these companies have found a way to get people to pay them money so they can look differently, right? So they can dress, so their character can dress differently or do a silly dance. These people are paying money. Like, it doesn't affect the gameplay at all. Like, if I think it's brilliant that they've made video games to where it's not a finite thing. You beat it once, you beat it twice, it's boring. Nowadays, you can buy new levels, new characters, new all kinds of shit. They make these video games last a lot longer, and I don't think that's a bad thing, paying for that. Paying to make the game better, paying to make your character better. You can buy some cool guns that aren't available in the game because they didn't design them yet, and then they put them in later. Like, that shit is cool. But to pay for aesthetics, to pay to make my fucking character have a blue hat on, that is just what an insane waste of money. Teaching these children that shit like that matters. Like, it's the same as when we were kids and you had to have the Jabot jeans and the IOU sweatshirts and fucking Z Cavaricis and shit. Never had any Z Cavaricis. But like, it's just different now. But I think about it. And I think about like me in 6th grade, and getting like 2 or 3 pair of pants and a couple of shirts for Christmas, and being like, what the fuck? And I'm like, man, you're the one that wanted $80 jeans. Nobody's buying you more than that. It was my Christmas birthday too. It's so fucking weird, man. Anyway, so this guy, so we hear that he's a jurist, which is a legal scholar, like beyond scholarly, super smart. And this part always blows my mind. This is why I started talking about this. As somebody who grew up prior to computers, I was only a few steps away from what this dude had available to him, theoretically. Well, this is the part where it just gets confusing to me, is, again, this guy's in the South. He's a Confederate guy, and yet, where are these endless libraries that he's able to have access to? Where is all this endless information that he has access to, that he can be the jurist, the scholarly scholar? How does that happen? And you hear about this so often in these narratives where you have these polymaths that can do so many different things. He's an author, a poet, an orator, an editor, a lawyer. Like these people are just, they have access to all of this information. And we're talking about travel. These people have to be traveling all over the place. This is 1800s. What are we talking about? Was he just riding horses around? Gets up in his thatch roof house, little dirt shack. Or is it one of those Victorian mansions that apparently existed all over and still existed, like Forrest Gump's house? Greenbow, Alabama. But then they ride their horse to the federal building, which is this monumental fucking palace that is made in the exact same style as, you know, you see all over the world. These little towns of 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever, they definitely have their giant church, their giant bank, their monumental government building, whatever it may be. And you just, it's like think about that. Think about the dual narrative we're given. We were these, you know, really basic people with limited tech and all these things, while also being these amazing people who were able to do so many things, build so many things, travel, research, like all of it. It's just, which side is it? A prominent member of the Freemasons. Oh yeah, we did. So this guy is the Grand Commander of the Supreme Council, Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction from 1859 to 1891. So over 30 years. He is also, at that time, he's editing other people's work. He's giving speeches. He's writing books and poetry and shit. He's practicing law. He's studying to be this you know, this super smart guy. He's a Confederate Army general who served as an associate justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court while in exile from 64 to 65. He was also a senior officer of the Confederate States Army, commanding the District of the Indian Territory in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. Like, think about how many things this man is said to be doing, how much time all of this would require, and communication. You know, you would imagine to be in all of these different positions, covering such large territories, and there would have to be a pretty extensive communication network to be able to do all of these different things. You know, I mean, it's just such a strange, strange presentation that you know, it's like I always say, like, why didn't the churches just tell people that the construction of the churches was due to miracles? That would at least make more sense than the I don't knows, or the bullshit narrative we're given with the fire stories and how did they make these incredible organs, and how did they build all these spires and towers, and how did they move all this earth here, and how did they dig all the tunnels, and how did they dig the catacombs and all that? How did they do that? Oh, that was just miracle. That's the miracle of God. Do you play video games? I can't really do it anymore. Getting too old, and my wrists and hands don't work like that. Already got one busted wing, so when that thing doesn't work out so well and the other one starts failing, it's not a lot of fun. So he was associate justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court in exile, in office from June 8th, 1864 to May 28th, 1865, appointed by Harris Flanagan, preceded by Hubert F. Fairchild, succeeded by Charles A. Harper. Mr. Harper. He was born on December 29th, 1809, in Boston, of all places. So he didn't start out to being a Southerner. Died at 81. April 2nd, 1891, in Washington, D.C. He's buried at Oak Hill Cemetery. Isn't that like the cemetery for all the major people? Is an historic 22-acre cemetery. That's amazing that something this important would start off with a fucking grammatical error. Located in Georgetown neighborhood of Washington, D.C. in the United States, it was founded in 1848. It was founded and completed in 1859. I wonder if there are older graves than that, than 1848. And is a prime example of a rural cemetery. I wonder how many new cemeteries go up each year. Alright, early life and education. Albert Pike was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Massachusetts! I don't know why stupid people say that. Why do so many people say Massachusetts, but they say Massachusetts? I've heard more than one person say that wrong. Why? What the fuck are they hearing? What are they seeing? The son of Benjamin and Sarah Andrews Pike. He grew up in Byfield and Newburyport, Massachusetts. His colonial ancestors had settled in the area in 1635 and included John Pike, 1613 to 1688, 89, not really sure, the founder of Woodbridge, New Jersey. So stupid. Calls out their hypocrisy. What most consider murder. He attended school in Newburyport and Farmingham until he was 15. In August 1825, he passed entrance exams at Harvard University. Though, when he went to the college requested payment of the tuition fees for the first 2 years, he chose not to attend. He began a program of self-education. He decided not to go to school, go to Harvard, and instead self-educated himself with, all of the access to all of the tech that they must have had back then, making it easy to do this. I mean, just think about what you're being told. I'm gonna redo this one, Chow style. Who runs the world? Who do you think runs the world? Do you think the people that run the world are like? Do you think they're the people? Sorry, I got chat lips like a motherfucker. If the narrative is that, there's only one group you can't talk about, don't you think that's the same group that runs the world? Don't you think isn't that how that works? All right, Pike was an imposing figure, 6 feet tall and 300 pounds, with hair that reached his shoulders and a long beard. In 1831, he left Massachusetts to travel west, first stopping in Nashville, Tennessee. So again, think about this. To be 300 pounds like that, to be fat, you have to eat a lot. You don't, nobody that's 300 pounds is like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I eat less food than anybody. Well, nobody says that honestly. There are lots of big fat people who claim they don't eat that much, but, there are multiple TV shows now. My 600-Pound Life. There's this other show out of the UK where it's like called Sneaky Eaters or some shit. I don't know what it's called, but they get overweight people, not 600 pounders, but overweight people who claim they have no idea why they're so heavy. they eat normal amounts of food, they exercise and shit, and they film them for like a week, and it's secret. You know, there's parts where they know they're being filmed, but then there's other parts where they don't realize it. And you know, at the end, they have this clear tube that's like this big. You know, it's like you know a barrel. You know, as round as a barrel, but it's this clear tube, and they drop all the food that the person ate. They like if the person goes through the drive-through, they pull in behind them and they'll ask the drive-through to give them the exact same order as the people in front that the people in front of them had, just so they know, you know, so they can keep an accurate tab on exactly what these people are eating, because they're all sneaky lying pieces of shit, right? They all are. They all. If you're overweight, like significantly overweight, then I believe you're a liar. Unless you're one of those people that's like, fuck yeah, I eat all the time. I'm a big fat ass because I'm a big fat ass. I eat all the time. Well, that's one thing. But 90% of the big fat people I've ever seen, whether it's on TV or whatever, they all they do is lie. They lie. They pretend to be the victims. They're just so unbelievable. But they end up filling up a tube with what that person ate for the week or whatever, and they go by each day and they drop more food. And this is what you ate on Tuesday. And it's just disgusting. Like by the end of it, you're just shocked by how much food that these people have eaten. And you look and you think that all that went into that body in a week. Like that's just fucking nuts, right? But to think like this man in 18, god damn, shit, crazy. It's gonna just get worse too. In 1831, to think like in 1830s, this man is 300 pounds. What was he consuming? It's not like they even had fast food and shitty, you know, shitty stuff. Plus, life was very difficult. So, you know, it's unless you're extremely wealthy, you're gonna have to do like a reasonable amount of work just to live. So, you know, how is this man 300 pounds in the 1800s? Can you pray for me? I can do nothing for you. Yeah, no problem. All you ask when you ask people to pray for you is for them to do nothing and feel okay about it. Because they could help you in a more realistic way, whatever the thing may be. They could offer tangible physical help, but they're not going to. And they feel guilty. And because they feel guilty, they want to feel better about feeling guilty. But he later moved to St. Louis, Missouri, where he joined a hunting and trading expedition to Taos, New Mexico. En route, his horse broke and ran, forcing Pike to walk the remaining 500 miles to Taos. These stories are just stupid. These stories always, it just reminds me of like, it just reinforces the notion that it's all just Jewish fairy tale nonsense. You know? And while he was walking, because he was a tough guy, he was going, and he kept breaking out into dance and song and shit, right? Oh, you MAGA? Fuck no, I don't support Israel. What are you, crazy? Yes, I can do nothing for you. Exactly. If that's what you want, that's what I can do. I appreciate you, you know, not asking me to do something for you. Let's see. After this, he joined a trapping expedition to Llano Estacado in New Mexico and Texas. Trapping was minimal, and after traveling about 1,300 miles, 2,100 kilometers, half of it on foot. He's right in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Now, this guy is walking again. How is he 300 pounds and he's doing all this walking? Yep. Dude, I'm on both crack and fentanyl every day, all day. Yeah. Look at these dumbass comments. Look at the best that they can come up with. Why? Seriously. Ask yourself why anyone would interfere in a feed about Albert Pike. Who in the right mind wouldn't be like, well, this is interesting. Who is, I've heard about this guy or something like that, at the very least. Why would me talking about Albert Pike upset anyone other than those who benefit from it? And normally they would encourage this kind of shit, right? They would want us talking about these characters. That's why they give them to us. Because it's scary. Albert Pike, like Algo is terrified of Albert Pike. Look at he. There he is. All right, career. Let's see. Here he is, looking like they always look. Kind of looks chosen, if you ask me. Look at that schnoz. And then what's that shit? I mean, it's all just dumb, seriously. Settling in Arkansas in 1833, Pike taught in a school and wrote a series of articles for the Little Rock, Arkansas Advocate under the pen name of Casca. Just think about this, right? This man is unknown. Nobody knows he's gonna be Albert Pike. Somebody talked about, 200 years later, 100 years later, whatever. Yeah, 1838. Almost 200 years later by some doofus on fucking YouTube. Nobody understands that. This is just some guy. He's just some fucking random guy who taught school and wrote a series of articles for some little tiny fucking Podunk, Arkansas newspaper. And yet somehow that shit still is known. That he wrote under this pen name. He didn't even use his name, of course, because they're always attributing themselves to things like that. Finding narratives that don't have an actual person associated with it, or a pen name or whatever, some pseudonym, and then they attach themselves. After the fact, it was, just like the auto emancipation pamphlet, 1882. You guys got to hear about the auto emancipation pamphlet. I'll come back to this motherfucker in a second, but if you don't know about the auto emancipation pamphlet, you're falling behind, right? Look at these dumbass comments. It's so crazy. Auto Emancipation is a pamphlet written anonymously in German by a Russian, Polish, Jewish doctor who was a doctor because after, going through law school, turns out Jews weren't allowed to practice law where he was. So he just decided to become a doctor instead, because that's just how you do shit. And of course, again, he anonymously publishes somehow where this pamphlet is published and distributed by who, when, where, why, how, what. Anonymously publishes this thing in German, although he's a Russian Polish Jew. Don't you think that's a little weird? and activist Leon Pinsker in 1882. It is considered a founding document of modern Jewish nationalism, especially Zionism. Wow, really? What's the very next thing this thing says? It's going to enlighten us, right? Pinsker discussed the origins of anti-Semitism and argued for friar self-rule and the development of a friar national consciousness. He wrote that friars would never become equals of non-friars until they had a state of their own. He called on friar leaders to convene and address the problem. In the pamphlet, he describes anti-friar attacks as a psychosis, a pathological disorder, and an irrational phobia. If you don't believe that they should have the supremacy that they demand, that is because of psychosis, pathological disorder, and or an irrational phobia. Do you understand how fucked up that is? If you've ever tried to have a conversation with them, or you've gone live and talked about anything they do, or you just look at my shit, right? Look at how this is how they argue. To this day, if you talk about what they don't want you to talk about, you get labeled. Take your meds. You're a schizophrenic. You have mental problems. And this is what they do, right? This is how they do it. Let's see. And see, you can't actually learn about it. I can't find how the fuck this was supposedly published. It was, it says, the rest of this says, Pinsker had originally been an assimilationist, which means to assimilate. So it meant that instead of thinking that you're special and that you should have special treatment, you just assimilate and believe that everybody, hey, we all work together to make our little thing work. Let's do it. Calling for greater respect of human rights for Jews in Russia. However, following massive anti-Jewish riots in Tsarist Russia in 1881 and a visit to Western Europe in the first half of 1882, because again, everybody was just traveling back then, his views changed. That year, he published the essay anonymously in German. And then later on, he was like, I wrote that, right? And everybody was like, oh, okay. Right? Because that makes sense. Do you not get how stupid that is? It doesn't tell you when did that happen? When did it come out that he wrote it? That year, he published the Pinsker's New Perspective, also led to his involvement in the development of the Friar nationalist group Hovival Zion, which he chaired. The essay itself inspired the group and friars throughout Europe and was a landmark in the development of Zionism and the Jewish state. The pamphlet was published in September of 1882. In 1885, Nathan Brinbaum adopted for his periodical the title Selbst Emancipation, derived from Pinsker's title. And that's it. It shows you some of the quotes. The quotes are ridiculous. Fuck it. Let's just read the quotes. Indeed, what a pitiful figure we cut. We are not counted among the nations, neither have we voice in their councils, even when the affairs concern us. Our fatherland, the other man's country, our unity, dispersion, our solidarity, the battle against us, our weapon, humility. They sound so humble, don't they? Our defense, flight, our individuality, adaptability, our future, the next day. What a miserable role for a nation which descends from the Maccabees. The Maccabees. Literally circumcision. That's why Hanukkah is celebrated. Hanukkah is the celebration of circumcision. It's troglodyte, see? That's a word that most people don't realize that they use for people of color. They do it. Troglodytes. Like, I'm not reading you what Wikipedia says. I love when the idea of what I'm reading, of the Wikipedia entries, the thing that I'm reading makes you so upset you say stupid shit like I'm making it up. It's so awful. The thing I'm reading is so awful that you're like, wah. But it's not my words. It's the fucking narrative, man. The Maccabees, the whole thing is about circumcision. When you look into the historical narrative, they mention a couple of other things, but the main thing was circumcision. And just like all friar narratives, it's fake as shit. It's so stupid. If you believe their narratives, you're the dumb Goyim sheep they need you to be. It's really that simple. Right? It's fucking nuts how stupid you have to be to keep believing. Feeling guilty for being made to be a bad guy because you talk about the thing that you're not supposed to talk about, you dumb Goyim. Why are you talking about this, you dumb Goyim? It's shocking. You know, everything I talk about, you can easily find out for yourself. I'm not looking up any sort of secret anything. That's literally, it's one of the two reasons, well, I guess three reasons why I use Wikipedia. Because, first of all, it's easy. Everybody has access to it. I'm not, some super sleuth that's telling you something that, you gotta have the dark web connection and all that shit to have access to. Anybody can get access to this. This shit is right here for you to find it. And it's also the thing, the truth that they want you to know. There's no secrets here. You can't hide behind your typical conspiracy theory bullshit like you always do. This is the reality that you're just avoiding because, because they know that if we ever figure out what they're doing, then we will rise against them. There are videos of them saying that exact thing. That if the Christians and the Muslims ever got together, they would wipe them out. The point is to keep the Christians and the Muslims fighting. But the Maccabee thing is literally, and along with Hanukkah celebration that is forced on you. Here in Detroit, they erect a 30-foot menorah in downtown Detroit. 30 feet tall, big silver, fucking 30-foot, fed by gas, natural gas. Who pays for that? Not sure. But they erect this huge celebration, and they make up maybe 2% of the American population, according to their numbers. 0.183% of the world's population, but maybe 2% of the population, especially here in Detroit. It's not like they have a decent sized population, no doubt, but a 30-foot menorah downtown, like that's insane. That costs money. It costs a lot of money to keep that fire going. Each of those, whatever, 12 fires or whatever. I don't know what the fuck that is. Look at it. You're, Y-O-U-R, a stoner idiot. Even your fellow fucking moron is correcting you. How funny is that? Even your people are trying to keep you in line because they know you're gonna. Oh, he's gonna catch you. You fucking idiot. And that's the kind of shit where, again, if you notice, they talk about certain things. So clearly they're not just sitting here like ignoring everything that's said. They're paying attention to what's going on in the comment section, in the video, and all that. So there's no hiding the, when I say I call them pedophiles to their fucking face, I literally have no issue calling them pedophiles, calling them out for the pieces of shit they are, the friar fucking pedophiles that they are. And they don't say anything. How many of you are going to be outed as a pedo and keep your mouth shut about it? Most of us would get pretty upset about that kind of shit, wouldn't you? At the very least, you hear the person talking about, hey, my whole thing is that we should kill pedos and overthrow the friars. Do you ever hear any of them be like, well, I don't like what you're saying, but when it comes to the pedo thing, that's disgusting. We need to fix that. Do any of them? Do they even acknowledge the pedo thing? Or do they just skip over it? Or try to throw it back at me, Like the guy that talks about it literally every day, all day long, about killing those pieces of shit. Oh, I'm secretly that? Come on. At this point, if I was even close to anything like that, I'd have been busted by now. They'd have something, but they don't have anything. And it just, again, it's just like this shit. Like the conspiracy that I'm talking about, the truth isn't hard to find. All you have to do is look for it. It's like impossible to cover it up. If you're not telling the truth, it comes out. Especially after years. Like people might be fooled for a minute. But after years, people figure it out. And even shit like this, where all you have to do is literally look at it. Look at what is being presented to you. It doesn't take any twisting. It doesn't take any, fantasy, sky daddy bullshit. Just look at what they present to you. When he's saying, what a miserable role for a nation which descends from the Maccabees! Exclamation point! The Maccabee revolt was literally a revolt against the banning of circumcision. They say shit like, oh, they weren't allowed to worship on Saturday, like they were forced to worship on Sunday. How do you force people to worship anything, any day, anytime? They were forced to eat non-kosher products. How do you force people to eat non-kosher? How do you force people to eat anything? Especially since it's not like it was grocery stores or anything around at the time. By the way, this is minus 230 something, 260 something, BC. Because, those accurate records from back then. It's just fucking insane. Right? So the three things that are mentioned in the narrative are the kosher food, the force to worship, and the banning of circumcision practices, which obviously include the metzitzia, child molestation aspect of things. And one day, this guy, Johannes Maccabee, he just says, you know what, I've had enough. He doesn't say, fuck that, I'm going to start eating food. I'm going to only eat kosher food no matter what they say. I'm going to worship the day I want to worship. He doesn't do that. He says, fuck that, I'm going to circumcise. And so, I guess like they had to bring their offering. The guy who was like the attendant of the offering place, I don't know. But he decided he was going to kill that guy and then kill the other guy who refused to circumcise along with him. He circumcised, went home, circumcised all his kids and all that shit. And then apparently using Godspeed, of course, went around the entire country where he knew where everyone lived, because he knew where all the Jews lived in the entire countryside. And he went from house to house, giving people the option to either circumcise themselves and all of the males in the household, and then, after circumcising, join him on his journey where they're riding horses and going on great long walks all over the countryside with a freshly circumcised wainer. Or he killed them. This Jewish man went around killing other Jews if they refused to circumcise. And a lot of them were like, hey, things aren't bad. Like, apparently they've been persecuted, because they're always so persecuted. But hey, this isn't like a bad time for us. Yeah, we can't cut baby dicks anymore, but they let us do what we want to do for the most part. He wasn't all about that. And somehow he went around the countryside gathering up all of these random Jewish people, who then turned into an elite fighting force and were able to attack the Seleucid Empire, where they lost and lost and lost and lost and lost until they won the right to be able to circumcise again. And Chazah, we celebrate Hanukkah. That's literally what that shit is. Prove me wrong. Take 20 minutes, go look up the Maccabee Revolution on your Wikipedia and see what it says. Remember, Wikipedia is the truth that they want us to have. It might not be the truth, but it's the truth that they want us to have. They control Wikipedia. They taught the editors of the number one source of information in the world how to do their job, so that they can edit things, because they wanted to be there. They wanted to influence how it's written, or what is written, how it's written, and to ensure that everything that's on Wikipedia is balanced and Zionist in nature. Again, not presented as fairly, not paints the Jews in a good light, makes everyone equal, He doesn't say that. He says that it's balanced and Zionist in nature. Everything on Wikipedia has to be balanced and Zionist in nature. So, at the very least, when I'm reading stuff about them and their culture, it's pretty safe to say it's probably the truth that they want us to know. Of all things, if anything is going to be balanced and Zionist in nature, you would think it would be the stuff that's, specifically about them. You hungry? Next quote. The great ideas of the 18th and 19th centuries have not passed by our people without leaving a mark. We feel not only as friars, we feel as men. As men, we too wish to live like other men and be a nation like others. What other group of people have their own nation like that? I mean, I guess Christians, who make up a much larger portion of the population, have the Vatican. But like, this idea that they don't have their own nation is interesting, especially considering that in 1928, the Jewish Autonomous Oblast was initially formed, but then in the next 10 years was explicitly designed to be an alternative to murdering Palestinians. They were like, hey, you don't have to go murder Palestinians. We'll give you all the free everything you want. We'll give you all the government subsidies and everything. Just don't go murder Palestinians. We'll give you your own place. That's all you ever wanted, right? You just wanted your own place. Well, here's your own place, and it's a lot bigger than Palestine ever was. So you should really like this. Why wouldn't you like this? You get mountains, you get plains, you get nice beaches, you get all of it instead of just, the desert. It's just ugly desert, right? Why don't you leave the Palestinians alone? But no. Again, these are all little pieces. Like, look at the comment section, right? Do you think the people that can't even get their yours correct, do you think they know anything about the historical record? Do you think they know anything outside of, fuck, obviously I think most of these are bots. But if they're not bots, like, do you honestly think these people are smarter than, what cartoons they watched earlier that day or yesterday or whatever? These people don't know shit. None of these people have read anything in forever. Other than stupid comments, text messages, but they don't read anything. They don't learn anything. Do I think they're going to have some sort of opposition to what I'm saying? No, of course they're not. They can't. They're too stupid. They don't know anything. You know how many people claim to be Christian and don't even know what the fuck their book says? That's how stupid and lazy they are. One of the foundations of their life, the main foundation of their life, where they base their morality on and shit, they don't even know what the fuck it says. They're too lazy. I mean, you guys are just so fucking dumb. It's insane. Here's the final quote. We must not attach ourselves to the place where our political life was once violently interrupted and destroyed. I'm thinking he's saying he's encouraging that they look elsewhere. And remember, around this time, well, we don't actually know who wrote this. According to the narrative, he was given credit later on, and according to the narrative, again, it's from 1882. So, like you just this is shortly before the Uganda scheme proposal that none of you know about, where they were like the British government, the Allies were talking about giving the Jews a large portion of Uganda until they could take over Palestine. Like as well, they would keep that area, but it was supposed to be their temporary homeland until they could take over Palestine. But because one, the idea of taking a bunch of black people as your slaves was starting to fall out of favor by 1900, by 1910. Not completely, but it was on its way. The writing was on the wall. It was also completely underdeveloped, and they would need to put in a lot of actual work in order to make it the livable paradise that they want. And because of how much work it would have been, they were like, nah, we're not going to take this. The Jews were offered a large portion of Uganda, like, here, you can have this, and they turned it down. Just think about that. That's according to the narrative, right? And this is all the stuff that you don't hear anything about this in school. The only thing you're ever taught is how they were super oppressed. The hollow hoax, the hollow hoax, the hollow hoax. Don't ask questions. Don't not believe any. You have to believe it. If you don't, you're a bad person. That's like akin to a racist and all these other things. But it's worse because you're an anti-Semite. You're all these things. They come up with this shit. But the history is right there. Like, if it's not a conspiracy, if it's not important, why was the Havara Agreement not something we ever heard about in school? It's not taught about to this day. The only way you know about the Havara Agreement is if you've researched it. You've heard someone like me talk about it. It's appalling. And To me, it completely destroys the Holocaust narrative. Completely. As much as I didn't believe it already, learning about the Havara Agreement takes it to the next level. No, there's just no way. There's no way the Holocaust narrative is even like, it's not even entertainable. And you know, a lot of that comes from anyway, let's continue. The goal of our present endeavors must not be the Holy Land, but a land of our own. We need nothing but a large piece of land for our poor brothers, a piece of land which shall remain our property, from which no foreign master can expel us. Thither, throw that biblical thither in there, thither we shall take with us the most sacred possessions from which we have saved from the shipwreck of our former fatherland, the God idea, and the Bible. It is only these which have made our fatherland holy, the Holy Land, and not Jerusalem or Jordan. Perhaps the Holy Land will again become ours. If so, all the better. But first of all, we must determine, and this is the crucial point, what country is accessible to us and at the same time adapted to offer the Jews of all lands who must leave their homes a secure and unquestioned refuge capable of being made productive. That is fucking insane. It's like, how do you not see this for what it is, right? Like, it's right here. It's not hidden from you. See also Jewish emancipation. Jewish emancipation was the process in various nations in Europe of eliminating Jewish disabilities to which European Jews were then subject, and the recognition of Jews as entitled to equality and citizenship rights. It included efforts within the community to integrate into their societies as citizens. It included efforts within the community to integrate into their societies as citizens. It occurred gradually between the late 18th century, 1700s, and the early 20th century. 1806, French print depicts Napoleon Bonaparte emancipating the Jews. I mean, this is just stupid. And look at the background as always. Look at the giant towers, the giant everything included. Just look at this image. Look at Napoleon's goofy ass. I mean, this is literally like, I've seen this painting, but with Jew. Like, this is like a color by numbers. And if you paint it a different way and you add some things, it becomes Jewish. But isn't that the Jesus picture where he's reaching out and somebody's like, "Oh, Jesus"? And Jewish emancipation followed after the Age of Enlightenment and the concurrent Haskalah, or Jewish Enlightenment. Various nations repealed or superseded previous discriminatory laws applied specifically against Jews where they resided. I wonder what those laws were. Are they going to tell us? I think the thing, because you always hear that kicked out of 109 countries in 1,000 years, but you never really hear why they were kicked out. And personally, I think it has a lot more to do with their disgusting circumcision rituals than people think. You know, I really don't think that people were jumping to circumcise until recently. But I think that's why they were getting kicked out. You don't ever really hear the why. You know, you hear that they bought up all the land, they bankrupted this, and then they got kicked out. Well, if the thing was kicked out, like if they fucked the whole shit up, didn't they have all the power then? How would they get kicked out of a place if they fucked it up? Before the emancipation, most Jews were isolated in residential areas from the rest of society. Right, they had their own communities. Oh, those poor people that have their own communities where they get to live by their own rules and laws and regulations and just like they like. You know? They weren't discriminated against. They discriminated against themselves. Emancipation was a major goal of European Jews of that time who worked within their communities to achieve integration into the majority societies and broader education. Again, just think about this. Like, this is the 1700s, 1800s. What do you mean they worked within the community? What was happening? My grandmother opened my eyes, and it was such a, like, a comment that normally just would fly under the radar. You wouldn't really give it too much thought, but it stuck with me, and she's really changed my life. Like it's actually really strange, but like I can't believe how powerful this was to hear it. Because I was talking to her about her father. She was saying her father was born in 1890, and I was like, wow, that's amazing, right? Like it's just to talk about wow, how the world changed and all that. And I said, hey, did he ever go to any of those World's Fairs when he was a kid? You know, like those things were all the schniznaps. Everybody was supposedly going to the World Fair, and when you hear about the attendance numbers and shit that just boggle the mind. Where did all the people park? I could go on forever about the World's Fairs. They're so fucking just goofy. The narrative's goofy. But I asked my grandmother, did he ever see any of the World's Fairs? Did he ever go to the World's Fairs? And she responded almost like insulted, and it was through text, but I could just feel it. Like she responded with no, N-O, three exclamation points capitalized. And she never does that shit. But she was like, no. Uh, it, it was, yeah, in a little bit. It was everything. Okay, if you want all that, you guys got to wait a little bit. But she said, it was everything to just get something to eat each day. And definitely they didn't have the money. And this is my black grandmother, of course. But nobody had the money to just go on a vacation and go look at the World's Fair and blah, blah. They struggled to eat every day. And these are people in the 1900s. The late 18s, early 19s, when supposedly we were extremely capable. We were more capable than we are today in a lot of cases, in our ability, the World's Fairs themselves, being built in 2 years, even if they were temporary structures, even if they were, which they weren't, but even if they were, They were all temporary structures, except for the couple that still survive today. Those ones happen to be built as forever buildings. But all of the other buildings that were built in the exact same style at the exact same time, those were all temporary. Like it's just a fucking it's a lunatic conspiracy theory to think that way. But even if it was just wood and plaster and it was somehow they were able to create realistic looking marble concrete all in just two most temporary possible. I don't see how they could do it in 2 years. These carving the land so that the water and the thing that's always the dead giveaway that people don't seem to notice in these is the fucking trees, man. You don't have huge trees for nothing. You know, huge trees don't just exist. You don't just transplant huge trees. Huge trees have to grow. Big trees have to grow. You don't move even, 30, 40-foot trees. You're not moving those around, especially not at those times. And if you're doing construction in an area, you're going to wipe it all out. You're not going to leave these giant trees with these roots and all that to fuck your shit up. Do you not get how, like, just fucking these narratives we're given are? And how, like, impossibly stupid and insulting they are? They're insulting you. They're insulting your intelligence. Assuming you have any. Yeah, I can help the video quality. Right? I control my signal strength. Before an isolated society, major goal, major societies, many became active politically and culturally within wider European civil society as Jews gained full citizenship. They immigrated to countries offering better social and economic opportunities, such as the United Kingdom and the Americas. Some European Jews turned to socialism, Zionism, or both. It doesn't matter if you turn to it. If the society isn't offering it, how do you get to do it? And so they were given citizenship, and once they're given citizenship, they went somewhere else. And what are we talking about here? Jews were subject to a wide range of restrictions throughout most of European history. The Fourth Council of the Lateran in 1215, which was enforced in some places, required Jews to wear special clothing, such as the Judenhut and the yellow badges for the Jews to distinguish them from Christians. Like, that narrative is supposed to be one where you're supposed to be like, oh, they were so, the poor people. But think about it. Obviously, they didn't have a distinguishable look. Obviously, they didn't look like they came from Palestine. If you had to have them wear something to identify them, then obviously they didn't stand out in any sort of way. And are you saying that these people were like, okay, I'll wear that stuff. I will identify myself so that you can discriminate against me? That makes the most sense. The whole biblical pride goeth before the fall. So they were all just so proud of their shit that instead of giving themselves and their children a fair, happy life, they were like, I'm too proud. I'm going to put it so we can be discriminated against. Like, think about how stupid that is. And you're family on one side and a hardcore Asian family on the other side. Ooh, sorry about that one. The Asians should be cool. I wouldn't at all worry about the Asians. The Asians will probably treat you really nicely. And you know what? The Jews will treat you nicely as well. The only thing is, like the Asians will like there's really like unless you are outwardly opposing them, they'll be cool with you. The Jews, like if you decide to fly a free Palestine flag or something, not only will they attack you, it'll never change. So it's crazy because your best bet, I mean, how do you even know? You know the Asian family, right? But how do you know it's a Jewish family on the other side? Unless it's because they wear the fucking clown suit or the penguin suits and shit. But more than likely, all you're going to have to do is talk to them 5 minutes or so, and they're going to be, well, as Jews, you know, we do blah, blah, blah. It'll come out like that. That's basically, if you talk to them for even a few minutes, you'll know. They'll work it into the conversation any way they can. So it puts you in this weird spot where obviously you should be a good person and be like, yeah, fuck everything Israel, free Palestine, even though free Palestine is sort of a misnomer. You know, it's not free Palestine. It's end the cult that resides in this. What are you doing?
Looking for a book. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I know it's hard to pick up and read it.
Sure. But this is just fly the flag in front along with a POW flag. Which one? The Palestinian flag? Because that would be amazing. If you would do that and you would send me a link, like film it and send the link to this video, we will watch it. Title it, you know. I don't know. I don't know how you would title it so I could search it, but you know, let me know if you do that because I want to glorify you. The practice of their religions was often restricted, and they had to swear special oaths. Jews were not allowed to vote where voting existed. Yeah, they're so used to using that thing that they're like, they throw it out there, and it's like, wait, did they even have elections back then? Well, no. But in places where they did have elections, they weren't allowed to. And some countries formally prohibited their entry, such as Norway, Denmark, and Spain after the expulsion in the late 15th century. Why? And it's funny because none of that is blue, so I can't look any of that up. Why were they expelled and not allowed back? What did they do to earn treatment that nobody else gets? I mean, this is pretty, you know, exclusive thing. Like, you don't hear about this with other people. Body love to sleep on the weekends. I guess 5 hours of sleep is not enough per night. It is for me. Although I start passing out pretty early in the day. But I wake up with the light. The light wakes me up. So I wish I could be like you people and sleep, but I just can't. Plus, I have to poop. My body is used to getting up and pooping, so on those days where I could sleep in, my body's like, hey, dude, we gotta poop. And usually it's light by then, so it sucks. Good to see it, man. I'll ask if I can record. They have been telling my other neighbors that people have tried doxing them so they don't want pics of their stuff, I guess. Yeah, that's not how it works. You don't have to ask anybody anything like that. That's what living in America means. You're free to record You know, you stand on the sidewalk, and how would anybody even know? Like, the idea that if you took a video showing the flags and whatnot, like there would be a handful of people that would recognize that, but those handfuls already know because they live there. Maybe don't show the address or something, but outside of that, nobody even knows what the hell you're talking about. Hmm? And if you're going to fly a flag, that means you're proud. You want people to know you feel that way. And if you can get more attention to whatever you're flying the flag to represent, that's a good thing. The whole POW thing is weird, though. It just makes you wonder what narrative is actually happening that we're being told. How many people did they do experiments on and fuck them up, melt their brains, or change their or whatever, and then they were just like, "Oh, that person's a POW. We don't know what happened to them." Look at that. I have constipation, the opposite issue, so that's not a worry for me. My body is drained because I had a horrible diet as a kid, and now I'm dependent on many things, including caffeine. Yikes! That sucks. That sucks. 1251, Bela the Fourth of Hungary gave the Jews of the kingdom equal rights and legal protection, which was an important step towards Jewish emancipation. It's 1251. We were just saying how they were so oppressed in 1215. Jewish involvement in Gentile society began during the Age of Enlightenment. What? Haskalah, the Jewish movement supporting the adoption of Enlightenment values, advocated an expansion of Jewish rights within European society. Haskalah followers advocated, quote, coming out of the ghetto, not just physically, but also mentally and spiritually. It just, it's just such bullshit. It's just such bullshit. When you look at like the narrative and you go, okay, so at some point they just decided that they were going to be different. They were forced into all the ghettos and the poorest, this, that, and the other. And then they just changed their minds and now they control everything. Isn't that amazing? In 1790, so now we just skipped roughly 500, 600 years. We went from 1251 to 1790. In the United States, President George Washington wrote a letter establishing that Jews in America would share the right to practice their religion with all other Americans. However, Jewish commentators observed that exclusion of Jewish citizens from political office occurred in a number of areas still in 1845. But I mean, like that's that. So, are you saying that they're being excluded or they're just not winning? Maybe they're just not winning because people don't like them, and maybe people don't support your Jewish supremacy ideas over theirs. Like, what I do know is in most cases, when given that equal position, that's never good enough. They want Semitism, policy and predisposition favorable to them. They're never okay with just being equal to us because they don't see themselves as equal to us. They see themselves as superior. So they need to be treated as such. And anything less is discriminatory in their mind. I'm like a frozen Snickers. Did you know? That snigger or sniggering is an actual word. And it means the exact same thing as snickering. So why you would say sniggering instead of snickering seems like, you know, almost like a joke. Like you're doing it just to work that word in. Did you guys know that? My kid had a book, a Jack Frost. And it was about Jack Frost and these goblins. And how Jack Frost created these ice puddles and blah, 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 whatever. But it said at one point that the goblins were sniggering about something. And I was like, what the fuck word did I just read? And so I looked it up, and of course, it's a word. By the way, if you're watching, don't forget to like, share, and sub. They're clearly hindering my feed today. So I need y'all help. Please. That's an old word, if I'm not mistaken. Surprised it's in a kid's book unless it's part of the programming. Well, of course it is. That's why it's there. I mean, there's literally no reason why anybody would ever use that shit. All right. In fact, American Jewish citizens organized for political rights in the 1800s and then for further civil rights in the 1900s. You notice how it's not really saying anything, though? On September 28, 1791, revolutionary France emancipated its Jewish population. The 40,000 Jews living in France at the time were the first to confront the opportunities and challenges offered by emancipation. The civic equality that the French Jews attained became a model for other European Jews. Like, it's just so weird. It's so weird. I love when people cry about what I'm talking about. Like I'm the only option that they have. Please, I want to hear you specifically talk about something different. Dude, you're obviously all about my junk in your mouth. Stop hiding. Newfound opportunities began to be provided to the Jewish people. They were just newfound opportunities began to be provided to the Jewish people, and they slowly pushed towards equality in other parts of the world. In 1796 and 1834, the Netherlands granted the Jews equal rights with non-Jews. Why did they have to do it twice? When you ask for people to share, and then the feed drops. It always drops when that happens. Once people start sharing the feed, it drops. Makes sense, right? Napoleon freed the Jews in areas he conquered in Europe outside France. See Napoleon and the Jews. Greece granted equal rights to Jews in 1830, but it was not until the revolutions of the mid-19th century that Jewish political movements would begin to persuade governments in Great Britain and Central and Eastern Europe to grant equal rights to Jews. Again, I would love to know how were they discriminated against? Literally, the only thing they've said is that they had to wear badges and shit. Who wears badges? Oh, wait. Act-IL is how you earn badges. In English law and some successor legal systems, there was a convention known as benefit of clergy, by which an individual convicted of a crime through claiming to be a Christian clergyman, usually as a pretext in most cases, the defendant claiming benefit of clergy was a layperson, could escape punishment or receive a reduced punishment just for being part of the thing. Just for being a member of the club. Don't you think that's strange? In the opinions of many contemporary legal scholars, this meant that a Jew who had not renounced Judaism could not claim benefit of clergy. Benefit of clergy. In England itself, the practice of granting benefit of clergy was ended in 1827, but it continued further in other jurisdictions, and still exists to this day. Emancipation movements, dates of emancipation, consequences. I'm still looking for the oppression. I can't find how they were oppressed. Apparently they weren't allowed to vote. But again, how could you know? And voting wasn't a big thing yet. Like, I mean, you still have Napoleons and you still have kings and shit like that. What political voting systems? You know, they were upset because they weren't being given control of those systems according to the fairy tale that they tell us. The newfound freedom of Jews in places such as France, Italy, and Germany, at least during the Empire, permitted many Jews to leave the ghettos, benefiting from and contributing to wider society for the first time. Thus, with emancipation, many Jews' relationships with Jewish belief, practice, and culture evolved to accommodate a degree of integration with secular society. Like they should. Like that's that. See how it's presented as like they were compromising themselves by agreeing to live with other people and by the rules of society and not just their imagination and their bullshit. Like it's just crazy how it's all presented. Thus, with emancipation, many Jews really, where halacha, Jewish law, was at odds with local law of the land, or where halacha did not address some aspects of contemporary secular life, compromise was often sought in the balancing of religious and secular law, ethics, and obligations. Again, imagine if Muslims had separate laws that they lived by. They were given all of these concessions, and they were allowed to live in ways that we aren't, that normal people aren't allowed to live by, and or even Christians don't get these. In Christian society, Christians aren't given these same sort of privileges. Jewish law. Why would Jewish law trump any law of the land? If there's a law of the land, why do they get to live by separate laws? I mean, in some regards, you're saying they're these oppressed people who have to wear these badges and so they can be identified because they can't identify them any other way, apparently, because everybody apparently dressed the same way. I don't know. But, and you know, you're telling me how they're so oppressed and that they're fighting for these rights and everything. But then you're telling me these narratives like they have their own law. They're not subject to the law of the land. Where their law clashes with the law of the land, they were given compromise. Like, that's fucking nuts. Why would they be given compromise? Religious and secular law and obligations. And to me, when you see this, it clearly seems like they're sort of dancing around the circumcision narrative because they don't want to point out that that's where the law clashed. You know, they want you to believe that circumcision has been this widely practiced morning thing for a long, long time, and that it was just acceptable and everybody was okay with it, and but it wasn't. It wasn't a common practice then, like just like it isn't now. In Europe, they still don't believe in circumcision for all babies, as you know, within hours of being born. They righteously, reasonably think, hey, that is inappropriate. That is unacceptable. You shouldn't mutilate and violate, you know, mutilate babies and violate them like that's crazy. You know, if it really is that big of a problem, then give people the option. You know, if you go through life and you find out that not being circumcised is a huge negative in your life and you want to cut that shit off, guess what? You always can. Yeah. You going?
No, you just gotta let everybody know. Nobody's at the hospital. Because they might go straight to NICU.
Nick University? Is that like Northwestern Institute of Kabbalah?
Yeah.
That's Nick University. Northern Institute of Kabbalah. Well, Nick the way we spell it. The Northern Institute of Crazy Kabbalah would work even better for.
Seemingly targeted an area where lots of black.
Consequently, while some remained firm in their established Jewish practice, the prevalence of emancipated Jewry prompted gradual evaluation and adaptation of the religion and the emergence of new denominations of Judaism, including Reform during the 19th century and the widely practiced modern Orthodoxy, both of which continue to be practiced by strong Jewish communities today. Strong Jewish communities. They're strong. Why are they strong Jewish communities? That's such a weird way to put it. Maybe strongly Jewish communities, but strong Jewish communities. Critics of Haskalah lament. they, they lament it. They lament it. Let's see. Let's see what the actual definition says of lament. A lament is a passionate, audible expression of grief, sorrow, or regret, often manifested through wailing, crying, or mournful music, poetry, and song. Well, shit. Lamented indeed. That's what TBG laments. This shit. You guys are right. I am very happy. Thanks for noticing. I am very happy that you guys are here and not scouring the web for children. At the very least, if I can keep you guys busy, keep you guys distracted, I'm doing a good thing. So I am happy about that. Thanks for acknowledging. In contrast, others cite anti-Semitic events such as the Holocaust as more determinal to the continuity and longevity of Judaism than Haskalah. Why would being wiped out, 6 million of your people supposedly being killed, be more determinal to the continuity and longevity of your cult? I mean, I guess they're sort of telling you the truth, right? So Haskalah, literally wisdom, erudition, or education, often termed the Jewish Enlightenment, was an intellectual movement among the Jews of Central and Eastern Europe with a certain influence on those in Western Europe and the Muslim world. They just had a certain influence. What is that certain influence? It arose as a defined ideology, worldview during the 1770s, and its last stage ended around 1881 with the rise of Jewish nationalism. Right. When 1882, you have the auto-emancipation pamphlet. And of course, the Holocaust is a more determinal thing by today's standards, because we don't know anything about those 1700 bullshit narratives unless they tell us. And even though the Holocaust is the exact same thing, it's much more recent, and they made pictures and shit. But it's telling you that they used the Holocaust to continue their domination. After all that time, the Enlightenment in 1882 and all that, their hold on things had started to wane. And people were resisting their control. And they needed something to make it so the people felt sorry for them. Or felt not sorry for them, felt guilty. It was about creating that guilt, stroking that guilt mechanism that Christianity had built into you. That guilt for shit you had nothing to do with, right? It's fucking crazy. But that's why they created the Holocaust narrative. The thing that wasn't talked about until after the fact. The thing that nobody noticed was happening until after the fact. It's fucking crazy. It's just crazy that this is how this works. Emancipation offered Jewish people civil rights and opportunities for upward mobility and assisted in dousing the flames of widespread Jew hatred, though never completely and only temporary. But if you're passing laws that say that people have to like these people, how does that make their situation any better? You're not saying, hey, these people are better because of this. You're just saying from now on, you can't actually discriminate against these people. Doesn't matter if you like them, doesn't matter if you agree with them. You have to support their belief structure. That's not how you win, friends. This enabled Jews to live multifaceted lives, breaking cycles of poverty, enjoying the spoils of the enlightened society, while also maintaining strong Jewish faith and community. But see, that doesn't work, right? When that's the way it works, then you can't manipulate people with that guilt, with that sadness, because otherwise you really don't have anything. The thing about their cult is it's really disgusting. And admittedly, they killed the Jesus. Right? So it's like, it's bad guy stuff. So how do you get people to accept bad guy stuff? Especially accept it over their own shit. And it's that, yeah, I know you haven't eaten in a day, but I haven't eaten in a week. And you're like, well, fuck, man. I feel guilty eating this thing in front of you. You haven't eaten in a week. You have it. I didn't know you had. You don't look like you haven't eaten in a week. I could have sworn I saw you eating earlier. As a matter of fact, I saw you eating just before I showed up. You had said the same thing to somebody else, and they gave you food. It's amazing. What would Jesus save me for? Jesus was gay, right? If Jesus existed, he sure was gay. He was a whiny little bitchy gay guy who hung out with dudes all day and whined about people not believing him. You don't know who my dad is. He's my dad. Well, this element of emancipation gave rise to anti-Semitic canards. Anti-Semitic canards. Oh, that's a trope, an anti-Semitic trope. It takes you to tropes. I thought it was going to give us a different thing. Relating to dual loyalties and the successful upward mobility of educated and entrepreneurial Jews saw pushback in anti-Semitic tropes relating to control, domination, and greed. The integration of Jews into wider society led to a diverse tapestry of contribution to art, science, philosophy, and both secular and religious culture. So, basically, the exact same things. It's not like they're accused of this huge variety of things. Throughout history, it's always the same accusations. Dual loyalties and control, domination, and greed. Why do people always think that way about them? Especially if they're not doing anything, they're doing the opposite. They're these really helpful people who are very nice to everyone, who don't separate themselves and demand their own, their own segregated societies and all. If they're these great people, why are they hated so much? I just don't. It's just like every other thing where they give you like two narratives smashed together, and it's like, oh, we were the most oppressed people in the world, but we were still allowed to have our own law, Jewish law, that even though it clashed with societal law, normally we got the compromise because of our Jewish law. Like, you're not persecuted if that's it. You're not these people that are the victims if you're given that kind of compromise. I wasn't given to black people. I mean, it just, you get busted for a crime and you're like, hey, look, do you see my badge? I'm allowed to do this. I have a different laws than you do. All these narratives, I don't believe that they're true. I don't believe any of this actually happened. I believe this is the narrative that was created, that they never really expected someone like me or us or whatever to really start delving into it. They thought they could just put it out there and it wouldn't matter. They control the narrative as it is. And, they're the people that say, if you open up the books on Israel, you demonize Israel. And they say that to garner sympathy. That's how stupid and delusional they are. Well, you can't look at our history and our record because it makes us look really, really bad. Like, that's not how that works. Nobody says, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't want to look at your history because, I don't want an accurate picture of what your plans are. Like, especially if I'm supposed to trust you on something that somebody else has trusted you on, and then you totally fucking fuck them in it. I don't want to know if you've done that before. Here, just sign me up. What am I supposed to sign now? What do you want me to, Just think about how weird that is. And who is going to support it? These are the people that are picking fights and then sending your children off to die in these wars that to them is just entertainment. They're not going to war. They get all the religious exemptions. If they are in the military in some way, then they're kept out of shit and they're put into leadership positions without real explanation. Just look at Chaim Rickover. Oh, he converted to Protestant. Sure he did. See also Emancipation of the Jews in the United Kingdom, Jewish Enlightenment, Jewish Question, Napoleon and the Jews. Emancipation movements. Oh, there were these movements. I mean, it's just fucking insane. Let's see. I didn't want to read this, but let's just see it. The early stages of Jewish emancipation movements were part of the general progressive effort to achieve freedom and rights for minorities. Really? For all minorities? They were out there fighting for every minority's right? Well, that sounds noble. Strange it didn't work out that way. Strange that every other minority including like women just in general continued to be absolutely discriminated against and all that. Isn't that weird? But they were out there fighting for minorities. Awesome. Well, this was a movement. It was also a pursuit for equal rights. Really. How can you say, I want equal rights, but my belief structure oppresses people, other people? Like, I should have the right to oppress other people, but they're not allowed to resist me. They're not allowed to call me out. They're not allowed to segregate or not allow me into their community, knowing that I'm coming to take over. I'm coming to take over. I believe myself superior. I mean, it's so fucked up. It reminds me of the pikers, right? Of the traveler people. I like that My Big Fat Greek Wedding, or not Big Fat Greek Wedding, My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding. I like that show. It's nuts to see how this show, how these people, it's fucking nuts. I haven't watched it in a while, actually, but when I did watch it, I'm gonna watch it after I get off of this, actually, because that shit is fucking nuts. But you see this narrative over and over again where they're like, we're just so oppressed. We're just so oppressed. All we want is to just, live in the community by our own set of rules. And we don't harm anybody. But they're like loud and obnoxious and they don't give a shit. Like if they feel like partying at night, they'll be out there lighting fireworks out at night, 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. They don't give a fuck. Dropping trash all over the place. They're mean. They're fight with people all the time. And then they have this really fucked up, system where the women, it's like you see it. Like they all regret it. They all hate that they're a part of that narrative. And yet they all encourage their daughters to the most important day of your life is when you get married, when you get handed from your daddy to your new daddy. And, 16, 17, 18. By the time you're 18, you're too old. So you're supposed to get married at 16 and like The girls aren't allowed to live, to be by themselves, to leave the house by themselves. Like, it's such insanity. It's just insane that they have such archaic beliefs. And yet, in some cases, you know, their bonds, their sense of family and shit, it's admirable. But at the same time, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, the dudes can bang as many broads as they want, if they can, but since they're so weird, they don't actually succeed. But they're allowed to. But the girl, if the girl has sex with somebody, she's trash. Once somebody else has had sex with her, she's trash. You know, virginity is a prize. The idea that anyone thinks virginity is a prize, you are fucking... You're stupid. You want a girl who, you know, knows what the fuck she's doing, who's not going to be boring. Oh, I can teach her how to be the girl I want her to be. Ugh, what the fuck is wrong? Ugh, that's disgusting. I'm going to marry a girl who's a few years younger than me, who's fresh out of her you know, who literally believes that she's property. That she was her dad's property, but now she's your property. And that is a good thing. How the fuck could anybody be tricked into thinking that way? It's the Travelers. It's the big fat Traveler wedding show. If you haven't seen it, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But it's all over the YouTube. You can easily find it. It's fucking phenomenal. It's crazy how that this show exists. Matt just sent me a message. Why did Matt send me a message? Why is Matt sending me random messages while I'm live? Oh, we're all going to die. Life is totally meaningless. I mean, technically, kind of, I guess, but I don't know why you would want to think that way. Yeah. And if you do think that way, then why are you determined to get other... If it's meaningless, then why get other people to try to think like that? Why don't you just sit by yourself and chill? She's your daughter. Exactly. She's not your property. About Netanyahu saying Israel from the depths of hell. Yep. Pacing around, methed out. Yep. That's it. I'm methed out of my mind. Never ran out. No. It's insane. You know, see, all right, yeah. Look at how stupid this is. Who comes to the feed where they're talking about killing and overthrowing, you know, these pedophile systems and all that, and you're like, that's funny. Let's make, like, who does this? I don't, other than pedophiles, this is why pedophiles usually don't have a lot of friends. Because they've experienced it already. Like, if I'm hanging out with you and we go out somewhere, and if you were to just pay attention to me, you're going to notice that I'm a fan of titties. As I'm walking down the street and I see some chick with big titties, I'm going to look. I'm going to follow her, you know. If I see if some titties happen to pop out, I'm going to be like, holy shit, look at them titties. You know, that's who I am. It's what I do. I couldn't hide it even if I wanted to. Like, my wife catches me, but she's cool because she doesn't care. She understands that I'm a human being who finds things attractive. That doesn't mean I'm cheating. I just find things attractive. She finds things attractive. I totally get it. I'm not insecure. I don't care. But, you know, that's how it works. If I'm out and about, you're going to know if you hang out with me within a short period of time, whether I want you to or not, that I'm a fan of some titties. And the thing with these pedos is they're the same way. If you hang out with them, you're going to notice that as you're walking, they happen to glance at children a lot longer than normal people would. You know? Or they make inappropriate, weird ass jokes or comments that you're like, dude, what the fuck? And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, that was weird. But they do it all the time. Because their mentality is different. And if you just, everybody gives themselves away if you give them enough time. Everybody will hang themselves with enough rope, you know? And it's the same thing with here. You seriously think there are real people who are just stumbling across YouTube and they find a feed where somebody's like, we should kill pedos, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna fuck with that? Who does that? Oh, this guy thinks we should end the relationship with Israel and you know, eliminate that cult altogether. Oh, I'm gonna fuck with that. This guy's clearly smarter than me, so I'm gonna come on here and say a bunch of dumb shit. Like who seriously lives that life? It's weird, man. It's a weird, you know, it's weird, but it totally fits, right? If you just look at who it is, they want to call you a misogynistic brother. Misogynistic. I don't know. If you think I am, I'd love to hear it. All about women's rights. Like, I don't think women should be allowed to be police officers. Not because I discriminate against them, because I respect them. I respect their limitations. I respect their inability to do the job correctly, and I wouldn't expect them to do something they can't do correctly. And I absolutely respect their periods. I think that shit's horrible. And I can't imagine trying to do a job normally without it affecting me even the slightest bit when I'm going through what they go through. You know, all of them that use it as an excuse at some point in their life to justify some horrible behavior. Some irrational fucking nutso behavior. And I'm sorry, but if you're a cop, that's going to happen. You're in a position where you have to make life and death decisions on a regular basis. And do I want you to be mentally compromised or physically compromised so that you're mentally compromised? Fuck no. It's enough with all these little dick men out there with the fucking Napoleon complexes and all that shit. Roided out freaks that are cops. But at least they can do the job. You want to show me a video where a man fights back against a female cop and she fixes the situation by herself? She fights against the man, they go toe to toe and she wins? Or the man runs and she chases him down? Show me that video. Even if you can show me one or two, I can show you hundreds of them not doing that. Of them getting dropped. Of them quitting the run after a few steps because they know they can't catch the guy anyway. Of them doing shit and needing the male to rescue them. I've seen it countless times. Countless fucking times. But that's, I respect you. That's why. I don't think that you can beat me up, so I don't expect you to try. I would hope you wouldn't try. And yeah, I'm sure there are some well-trained females out there who can beat up an almost 50-year-old me, sure. In my prime? No fucking way. Even if you were a trained professional, I would run in there and grab you, and once I grabbed you, you wouldn't have been able to do anything. I'm too big. There are weight classes for a reason when it comes to fighting. But back to this equal rights. No female is stabbing a dude who doesn't want to be stopped. Exactly. I mean, you might have like, you might have like a Brian Wallace who is, dealing with a big old, like she might be the exception chick. She's big, broad, butch lesbian, fucking, she's tough. And yes, occasionally she might be able to take out a really weak piece of shit dude. But the average guy, she's not going to be able to. And she's definitely not going to be able to catch the average guy running. But the revolution we're talking about isn't this or that. It's the entire shit show. You have to be honest about every aspect of it, not just the parts you like or don't like. That's the biggest challenge. When the thing contradicts with your reality, with the things that you like, you have to be honest. Like, it would be one thing if, when it came to females, if I could say, all right, let's pull this judge's record and we're going to ask her, what is your week that you're usually on your period? Week and a half. Because most women, not all, but most women can set their calendar to that shit, right? And let's just see, you know what? We don't even need to know if she's on a schedule. Let's just see. Is it noticeably different 1 week each month? The sentences. Does she hand out sterner sentences during 1 week each month? Is it something that's noticeable? If it's not something that's noticeable, then I'm wrong. And you would think there would be women out there that would volunteer to say, you know what, you're a stupid man. You're wrong. I'm a big, tall man. I'm a man. I'm a big, smart man. That shit was funny as fuck. Right? But if you can show me that I'm wrong, and we can do that with every female judge, then I'm okay. And I do think we should do that because we're not talking about some chick working at McDonald's. We're talking about somebody that decides, she ruins lives. She decides whose life is going to be ruined. And especially when she's dealing with, man versus woman issues, is there a noticeable difference? Like, I know for a fact, if I ever would have had any sort of dispute with a female, I would never go to Judge Judy, because Judge Judy was whatever happened to her as a kid, she was never let that shit go. She hated men. Look at how dumb this shit is. So whenever in court, the judge sees the... You know what I mean? And again, I just, like, I would absolutely, if I was a female and I were to say, you're wrong, you're a crazy guy, that's not true, I would be willing to, in a heartbeat, offer myself as the example. Check out my shit. I believe that I'm always the same fare every time, and there is no noticeable difference. When I think about, all of the females I've ever known in my life, they all were that way. They were all, noticeably different during their periods. And then you're talking about judges and shit. And what about them going through menopause? That shit isn't, that can be really crazy. I'm not saying that's how it's going to affect all women, but it's something that's unpredictable. And it's something that does affect a lot of women. And in this kind of scenario, nobody's allowed to say, hey, maybe this judge has been affected by her menopause and she's not able to do her shit as well as she could be. She's not being fair. Nobody's allowed to say that shit. And menopause can last for years in some cases. And because it's not even like it's 9 out of 10 women, it's not noticeable, and every 1 out of 10 it gets bad. It's not like that. It's way more like the other way around. Like 9 out of 10 is bad, and every 1 or 2 you don't notice. But that shouldn't be allowed to, we shouldn't, all of us, be at risk to these people who carry guns, who can make life-threatening, life and death decisions on the spot, or people who decide whether you go to prison, whether you pay this or that, whatever it may be. They shouldn't be allowed to do that and potentially, be fucking nutcases, temporary nutcases. Look at this shit. Like, I love the comment section that acts like I'm supposed to pay attention to the nothing that they're saying. You want me to pay attention to little Dicky Joey? Instead of walking around your apartment like on the bottom at the end of the road, you to look at the things people saying about you in the chat because none of it's good. Oh, man, I should... Well, that contributes to the big picture chat like I'm talking about. You want to talk about me, and I want to talk about the big picture. Isn't that strange? I nothing you. I don't like you. I don't dislike you. Well, if you're a pedo, I hate you. And I guess I do like you being here because you provide the example. But you as a person, like, I nothing you. You're nothing to me. And yet I'm so important to you that you come here and beg for this attention and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just... And you're mad that I'm not reading your nonsense comments. Like, that's how important I am to you. You want me to please pay attention to me. It's amazing. It doesn't read the Bible. You don't notice. Right, I get all my shit from Stupid Head Book. Yeah. The Bible is the truth. Like, this is that level of stupid that, why should I entertain this? It's not like this guy can actually have the conversation. He doesn't even know his own Bible. Yet I'm supposed to, he doesn't read the Bible. What kind of stupid shit is this? So yeah, like, I know her schedule. Now it's a dingy room. I thought it was an apartment. You're contributing nothing. You're streaming. Egotistical, narcissistic mental breakdown. Yes, an egotistical, narcissistic mental breakdown. That sounds like what happened. That's, when you're reading stuff and you're talking about human rights, equal rights, and all that, it sounds like a big old egotistical, super egotistical. And you wonder why I ignored most of this chat. Just what you let your girl explode in front of you. Justin. Well, this part of the conversation was actually about female rights and the reality of things. If you have a contribution to that part of the conversation, that would be great. And whether you mean to or not, you are contributing. Because if I was wrong about whatever I'm talking about, you would say it. You would focus in on it and you would say, you're wrong and this is why. You obviously want attention So why wouldn't you do what it takes to get like real proper attention? Instead, you want this like pity attention, and that's fine. I'm giving it to you. Let's see. I don't kill. You don't care. Then why are you here crying? What is the motivation if you don't care? Now I'm projecting literally every one of your insecurities into this video. That's amazing. How can you elaborate, or are you just, is this something you heard someone else say once to you, and you were guilty and it bothered you, so you were like, wow, this worked, so now you're going to say it to somebody else? Is that how this works? Because if you can by any means explain what you're saying, then sure, let's address it. Explain the proof the 12 apostles then. They were Jews and went into being Catholic. Explain that. What a dumbass. Like, I don't even know where to explain that they were Jews that went into Catholics, because that's what the storybook says. How can I explain to you what the story says? And again, which parts of the Bible again are meant to be taken literally, and which parts are the parts where you're supposed to interpret it to mean whatever? Like, what are you talking about here? Come on, show us how dumb you are. And I'm going to come back and show my friends to show them. Then I'm going to come back to show my friends to show the state of men. I mean, if you can get, are you a female? If you're a female, then maybe you should actually make some smarter girls on here, because you're doing the dumb girl thing really well, and I don't think you mean to be, but you are. So maybe if you can get some of your smarter friends, you want to show your friends how stupid you are, by all means, please do it. Maybe they can come to your rescue. Maybe you should get a man to come to your rescue. You are wrong. This is wrong. Gotcha. I never mentioned anything about reading the Bible. Oh, do you think you're the only one that's here now? Is that how that works? Oh, you're adorable. Problem solving, I have solved the problem by making a chart. Oh, da, 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 da. You need to be able to have a coherent line of thinking in order to read. You have not made one connective strand of dialectical intelligence in the stream. Right. And that has you so mad that you're trying to sound smarter than you are right now, because you sure seem to be upset and very, very animated over me not saying much. Interesting, huh? Explain all the bad weather we've been getting around the world because of climate change is literally God punishing. Oh my God, are you stupid? So now God is punishing people with slow climate change because you think the weather is different. The weather is the same weather it's always been. And we've only been keeping track of the weather for a little while anyway. You have no idea what the weather was like 300 years ago, 500 years ago. You don't fucking know. You're so stupid, it's unreal. Explain the bad weather. This dude thinks that the bad weather is because God is punishing people for their sins. How do you argue with that level of stupidity? When this guy can't come up with any sort of realistic arguments, like he really thinks he's doing well right now. He really thinks he's making a good argument. How do you even, dude, no, make an actual argument. Make some sort of actual provable thing. Well, the weather is bad. How stupid do you have to be for that to be your best arguments? Like this dude literally typed that shit out. It's not like he slipped up and just said it. He typed it out. No, you're not. You're not even reading what I have to say. Yep, that's what's happening. Oh, man. The arrogance, the entitlement. Like, this is one of those broads, she might actually be reasonable looking. So she thinks like everybody, like she's used to everybody trying to fuck her. So she's used to being able to manipulate the world in that regard, especially when it comes to men. But when she comes across men that aren't trying to fuck her, don't give her shit about who she is or whatever, you know, she's just another person, not some hot chick, another person. And granted, again, she's probably like the hot chick at her bar, right? At the local bar she goes to, she probably gets a bunch of free drinks and shit. But let her go somewhere like, you know, in a city or something like that where she's more like a six, you know. But they have this delusional way of thinking that, like, again, these are the women who will expect you to, like, just come on, you gotta give me some. I'm on my period right now, okay? I just need a little bit of compassion, and I just need you to not be so. Nah. She's the same one that'll do that shit. But then when it's like, you know, you think that should be allowed to decide people's lives? You think that should be allowed to pull people over? With wet butt, fucking blood wet butt, tampon or pad in there, all cramped up and shit, stomach hurting, body hurting, mental fog. You just have to listen. And it's a dude, and the dude's like, I don't give a fuck about you. You know? I don't respect your authority. I am a chauvinist. Do you think that chick's gonna be reasonable and just do her job like she normally would in that situation? No. And you can see it all over the web. You can see it all over YouTube. You can see videos of female cops just getting owned, getting punked, you know, not being able to do their job properly. And you won't find a bunch of videos to the contrary. And that's just it. Like, again, the stupid thing about females is that they're going to get mad at me for saying, look, I totally get it. I can't imagine having blood ass and cramps and having a tampon shoved in there or sitting on a bloody nasty pad or, you know. I stink. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm cramped. I'm bloated. Mental. I can't imagine what it's like to go through that shit every single month. Oh, that sounds horrible. I feel so bad for you. I feel so bad for you that I don't think you should be doing jobs like policing people when you're in that compromised position. I respect periods. I respect how awful it is. But it's, you know, again, these dumb broads, man, they want to walk both sides. Right? It's so stupid. Let's see. Why ask me to elaborate when I'm in the same more than 4 times? You're just going to look away from the phone, go on a disconnected rant about nothing in an attempt to insult me. Yep. And if you were making really strong points, I'd be able to do that. How? If you weren't being a dumb girl, how could I make you look like a dumb girl? If Israel is the good guy, then why would looking into their records, opening the books on Israel, demonize them? You can't have it both ways, sweet tits. That's what equality is. Equality is being treated like a man, and no woman wants to live their life like a man. Trust me. You don't want to have that loneliness. You don't want to have that scrutiny. You don't want to be judged on your work. solely on your work. And if you don't produce, you're let go. You don't want that. You like playing the dumb girl. And let me guess, as soon as the ship's going down, you're immediately going to be a girl and want to get out of women and children first. Women and children first. You're all the same. You're not the one that's like, hey, let me call a dude and ask, hey, let me take you out to dinner. Let me pay for your meal. Let me pick you up. And you better fucking put out if I want you to. You're not going to do that shit. You still want to be treated like a girl. You still want everybody to kiss your ass and for you to, you can say whatever you think. Bill Burr does a great bit about women not being allowed to be hit, which gives them this license that men just don't have. Men know that they can't just run their mouths. They can't just say anything they fucking want without somebody punching them in the face. And when somebody does cross that line and they get punched in the face, nobody's like, oh my God, you poor person. They're like, see, man, shouldn't have said that shit. And Bill said, he said, even, and every time that happened to him on the way home from getting punched in the face, he'd be like, yeah, well, I guess I did kind of deserve that. I had said that thing. And, but women don't have that. They can get in anybody's face and say anything they want. And as men, we're not supposed to react at all. They can push us. They can hit us. The best you can do is restrain them with their nails and their teeth and their psychotic fucking bullshit. You seen these broads out here? These entitled broads? These Ronda Rousey, they grew up watching Ronda Rousey. The WWE have Ronda Rousey standing in the ring, and they'd send out 5 jacked security guards to go apprehend Ronda Rousey, and she'd just throw them around. Do you know what you're saying to little girls doing that? That should never be shown to people anywhere. Nobody should be shown Ronda Rousey throwing around 5 dudes at once. That makes little girls think they can compete with men. And Ronda Rousey is an extremely well-trained athlete. Most females are not. They have no business fighting with men. None. Physically fighting with men. No hitting, no pushing, no hitting in the head, no, pushing by. You have no business trying to get physical with a man. What the fuck are you thinking? But, you get these kinds of dumb broads who think they know shit, and they don't. Oh, remember when God flooded the earth? No, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. God will never flood the earth again. God will never do anything to destroy the earth again. And you know that because he keeps showing us rainbows. And as long as the Jews continue to circumcise, then that's all that matters. God doesn't care how we treat each other. God doesn't care how we treat the planet. God doesn't care how we treat the animals. The only thing God cares about is that the Jews circumcise not only their own children, but the slaves as well. And as long as that happens, God's happy. There's your Bible, you dumbass who doesn't know your Bible. You're not exactly clarifying your stance on how you feel about women. Well, how am I supposed to clarify my stance on how I feel about women when I'm not talking about how I feel about women in general? I'm talking about how I feel about women in a certain capacity. And it's more about how society reacts to women and how we're subjugated by this bullshit. But again, this is probably a little more complicated than you can understand. So maybe get your boyfriend to come explain things that I'm saying. Maybe if he's there, he'll hear me and then he can explain it. And then you can respond properly. How's that? Look at these dumb comments. I love how you completely dismantled your stance on how you feel about women with all this live stream. Gee, that's weird. Okay. I said this 10 minutes ago. I don't think you are built for this. You mean, so I'm supposed to respond to the comments but then also stay with the comments. So how do you properly respond to all of the comments while reading all of them at the same time? Doesn't that seem a little difficult? But hey, this is that part that you just don't understand again. Oh, Jesus, look at this shit. When were you talking about Israel? Yeah, never have. He's a baby, wah wah. Holy fuck, you are insane. Look at this. So you can't actually like address anything that I'm saying. You can't say you said this about this and you're wrong because of this. Do you see why you're being a dumb girl? Right? You're not all dumb girls, but it's dumb girls like you that give females a really bad name. So you're not okay with taking personal accountability? You think women who experience menopause shouldn't be in the workforce? No, not necessarily. But see again, you see how that female thing where you answer a question that wasn't asked, but you answer in a way so that you have a response that justifies your insanity. Because if I said females who experience menopause shouldn't be in the workplace, then I guess you would have a leg to stand on. But because apparently you choose to hear what you want to hear that works for you when it works for you, you didn't actually understand what was being said. Is that what it is? Oh, la 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 la. I'm addressing multiple things, but you do this thing where you look up and you go insane rant without reading chat, and then you come back and read two things that I've said. Again, you just sound like a dumb girl, right? What's up, Mary? How are you? Nobody can address or oppose. They can't. It's amazing how, it's like people like volunteer to be fed to the shark, right? And they just, I'm like, please give me some examples of really stupid people. Give me some examples of dumb girls. And they're like, look, I'm here. Please call on me. Call on me. Again, you keep looking away. Okay, so so look at how many comments you've made about what you think I'm doing. Not one of your comments actually, like you can clearly respond to the crybaby shit that hurts your feelings. But you can't actually debunk any single thing I've said. Isn't that interesting? You have literally been saying this. You have literally been saying this, or saying that this entire time. I just don't even understand what you're fucking saying. Look at this shit. The previous comment is about how I'm walking around in the ruins, throwing blah, blah, blah. Like, again, why don't you address one part of what I'm saying? Why don't you tell me how women that are on their period or that are going through menopause never experience any sort of psychological differences or changes or even physical differences for that matter, right? Go on, tell us how that works. Come on. Answer the questions. Don't be the dumb girl and talk about what I'm doing. Talk about what's being said. Come on, you got this. Because you're right about everything. Well, you think so. If I'm wrong, then you would think there would be some sort of opposition instead of this weird crybaby shit that I always get. I've tried, but I keep walking around. Yep, see? Immediately goes into the same like pull cord response. Right? She's not providing a reasonable, truthful response because the big bad man is oppressing her. Right? Because I keep looking around and walking around for blah blah. That's why you'll say all of this dumb shit over and over again. But saying anything truthfully or you're not, that's where you draw the line. You're not going to look at, you're not, why don't you just answer it for the chat then? Why don't you show off for the chat? If I'm not going to, if I don't even read it, it's still going to exist for the chat, and you could show just how smart you are. Why don't you do that? Bro, you have not read anything I've said fully. Right. Because it's dumb. You have nothing, and you know it. You know you're outmatched here. You're trying to argue that periods aren't a big deal, right? Menopause isn't a big deal. So why don't you make your arguments? Why do you keep talking about what I'm doing instead of what I'm saying? You're just being a dumb girl. Oh my God, you're fucking insane because you don't pay attention. LOL. Again, now see? So instead of, she'll say all these other things that I might not pay attention to. She's fine doing that. But to actually answer for or point out something that I'm getting wrong or just not be a dumb girl, she won't do that because I'm not going to pay attention. I'm paying attention to what she's saying, but I'm not going to pay attention if she actually says something intelligent. And that's preventing her from doing it. Poor girl, poor dumb girl, the big bad man is oppressing you. No, you're being an idiot by not reading things that are literally things that are being said that you don't scroll up and look at the chat for someone who's discussing the blah, 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 blah. Yup, here I am oppressing you, LOL. She's literally like, I'm laughing out loud. So fucking ridiculous. Right? I want to ask a question. I love when people do that. Like, what's preventing you? What is stopping people from saying something intelligent? Sorry, guys. Let's see. I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's embarrassing. Like, I always feel bad, especially when the dumb girl thing comes through. Because I know there are females like Mary on here who aren't that, right? I know Leah could be here, and my wife, another one, where they're not dumb girls. But they provide me with such fodder. You know, they make females look so bad with their, you know, their entitlement and their inability to actually back up what they say and all that other shit. And it's just, like, I almost feel bad for them, right? Like, it's amazing how desperate and like how stupid they are. And it seems like they know it, but they just keep proving it, right? Again, at no point has this broad decided to make a reasonable argument about anything. She just keeps crying. Jesus. Hey, Chubb, can you fill up a water for me, please? Can you fill up a water for me, please? Thank you. Oh, anyway. Sorry, I let such stupidity distract me.
That's some really
I'm not perfect. I try, but I'm not perfect. So back to what were we reading here? Oh, this is the emancipation movements. And we had ended with, well, this was a movement. It was also a pursuant for equal rights. Thus, the emancipation movement would be a long process. The question of equal rights for Jews was tied to demands for constitutions and civil rights in various nations. Jewish statesmen and intellectuals such as Heinrich Heine, Johann Jacobi, Gabriel Reiser, Isaac Burr, and this is the best one, ready? Lionel Nathaniel Rothschild. Oh, interesting how Jewish emancipation is directly associated with the conspiracy people. Like that's conspiracy with the everything is the Rothschild. It just happens to be associated with them. What a fucking coinkydink, you guys. Thank you, consider it right there. Thank you so much, appreciate it. My imaginary wife who doesn't exist.
I'm a mother, aren't I?
Mother, father, sister, brother, who knows? Whatever it happens to be at the time. Worked with the general movement toward liberty and political freedom rather than for Jews specifically. That sounds about right, doesn't it? The Rothschilds especially.
This is at the hospital. We're checking her right now.
Good. She's about to have twins. She's about to have twin daughters. You've missed the women in police conversation that we've been having so far. I know how much you love that one. Psst, psst, hey. No. Before we get headache again. Come on. Let's be smart. Yeah, well, that doesn't help. Put your glasses on, mother. Put on your readers, mother. Mother, put your readers on. You know you can't see without your readers.
Nothing is better. I'll always say never to those who oppose. Connected forever. We shall endeavor to rewrite the letters. It's time to explode.
Oh.
This song is all about perspective and perception and how we see ourselves and how a simple argument can turn into something huge.
In 1781, the Prussian civil servant Christian Wilhelm Dome published the famous script Über die bürgerliche Emanzipation der Juden, on the citizen emancipation of the Jews. Dome disproves the anti-Semitic stereotypes and pleads for equal rights for Jews. To this day, it is called the Bible of Jewish Emancipation. You know what's interesting, sweetheart? Even in the 1700s, the anti-Semitic, completely false anti-Semitic fake tropes about the Jews said things like they wanted control, they wanted, they had greed, they were trying to take things over. Like, isn't that weird? I mean, isn't that just so weird? Isn't that just so weird? Oh my God, it's so weird. In the face of persistent anti-Jewish incidents and blood libels. Oh no! Not blood libels! Such as the Damascus Affair of 1840 blood libels. Blood libel or ritual murder libel is an anti-Semitic trope. It's one of these tropes that has followed them throughout history for some reason and isn't associated with anyone else. Which falsely accuses Jews of murdering Christians in order to use their blood in performance of religious rituals. Echoing very old myths of secret cultic practices in many prehistoric societies, the claim, as it is leveled against Jews, was rarely attested to in antiquity. According to Tertullian, it originally emerged in late antiquity as an accusation made against members of the early Christian community of the Roman Empire. Once this accusation had been dismissed, it was revived a millennium later. A millennium later, it was revived. Man, they must have been looking at the old books from the millennium previously and were like, oh shit, I forgot about this trope. Let's revive it. As it was revived a millennium later as Christian slander against the Jews in the medieval period. It's like the opposite of everything that's happened since. So like how it meant this thing, and now the Jews have turned it around and they use it anytime you say something they don't like. They're like, that's blood libel. It's kind of like that's what happened that's what they're saying happened initially. Is that at one point it meant this, but then suddenly Christians were like, hey, because of, I saw it online, Facebook, it just, like, you always have to think about this. How did anything do that back then? In the 1100s, that's what we're talking about here? The first examples of medieval blood libel emerged in the Kingdom of England in the 1140s, before spreading into other parts of Europe, especially France and Germany. This libel, alongside those of well poisoning and host desecration, became a major theme in the persecution of Jews in Europe from that period down to modern times. Again, why are they the only group that's consistently accused of poisoning wells? Putting dead bodies, dead animals, putting poison in the drinking water well so they can fuck the people up that use it. Why are they consistently accused of that shit? What is host desecration? Is a form of sacrilege in Christian denominations that follow the doctrine of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. It involves the mistreatment or malicious use of a consecrated host. The bread used in the Eucharist service of the divinity liturgy or Mass, also known by Protestants as simply communion bread. It involves the mistreatment. So it's poisoning the bread that is then distributed, the dead body, the Jesus bread. It's having access to the manufacturing facilities so that you can poison the bread. Is that what it is? It is forbidden by Catholic, Oriental Orthodox, and Eastern Orthodox churches, as well as certain Protestant traditions, including Angelicism, Lutheranism, and Methodism. In Catholicism, where the host is held to have been transubstantiated into the body of Christ, host desecration is one of the gravest sins. Intentional host desecration incurs the penalty of excommunication, latae sententiae. Throughout history, a number of groups have been accused of desecrating the Eucharist often with grave consequences due to the spiritual importance of the consecrated host. Accusations against Jews were common reasons given for massacres and expulsions throughout the Middle Ages of Europe. Similar accusations were made against Muslims, Protestants, and in witchcraft trials. Witch hunters' guides, such as the Malleus Maleficarum, refers to hosts as being objects of desecration by witches.
Something just happened in Minnesota again.
It is part of many descriptions of the Black Mass, both in ostensibly historical works and in fiction. Medieval accusations against Jews is the number one thing. Well, here, backgrounders first, I guess. In the Catholic Church, the transubstantiation of the Eucharist means the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ are presented in the form of a consecrated host and adorned. Theft, sale, or use of the host for profane purposes is considered a grave sin and sacrilege, which incurs the penalty of excommunication, which is imposed automatically in the Latin Church. So basically, again, it's fucking with the Jesus bread. What happened?
So just shot and killed another person in Minneapolis. Incredibly innocent bystander.
Yeah, I mean that's what's gonna. That's what's gonna happen. It's what's gonna keep happening until something else happens. You'll probably find it on the news if you switch the channel. Some denominations, especially Lutherans, have similar beliefs. So we know what it is. So I want to know what the accusations against the Jews could possibly be. Because this is a pretty stupid thing. Accusations of host desecration leveled against Jews were a common pretext for massacres and expulsions throughout the Middle Ages in Europe. They just repeat it. If they just repeat the exact same phrase over and over again, it's going to stick in your head. The libel of Jewish deicide that the Jewish people were responsible for the killing of Jesus, whom Christians regard as God become man, was a generally accepted Christian belief. Well, I mean, if you look at the narrative that's given, that's literally exactly what happened. They don't have it. Palestinians do. Jesus turned water into wine. Oh my God, are you stupid? Do you seriously still believe in Santa Claus too? You're fucking stupid, man. It was superiously claimed that Jews stole hosts, objects to which they attached no significance, religious or otherwise, and further spuriously claimed that they abused these hosts to reenact the crucifixion of Jesus by stabbing or burning them. I mean, again, why would these narratives exist? It has been asserted by modern scholars, such as the Catholic priest Gavin Langmuir, that these accusations against Jews represented profound doubt about the truth of Christianity, which they should. Although the doctrine of transubstantiation did not imply that by consuming the host, Christians were eating flesh and drinking blood in the normal sense, the language used to describe the dogma would have been interpreted as completely alien to Judaism and Jewish law. For Jews, such a belief would contradict their strict dietary laws, which forbade them the consumption of blood, even when consuming kosher animals. Oh, it's all just so fucking stupid. It really is stupid. Jews in the Middle Ages were frequently victims of similar accusations, considered more serious than desecration of other recovered items, such as relics or images of Jesus and the saints. The accusations were often supported only by the testimony of the accuser, who may potentially bear a prejudice against the accused Jew or the Jewish people. Yep, that's what it is. None of it's ever true. Do you understand that? None of it is ever true. It was always somebody that had a grudge, or somebody that had been, had a grudge for no reason. If they had a grudge against the Jews, they had a grudge for literally no reason. They just did because they were anti-Semitic. Yeah.
They're doing too much, man, and they keep pushing people, you know? What the f?
And they all walk away.
Okay, so listen. Wow, the accusations against the Jews just goes on and on and on and on and on. Look at all these dates that it gives you. Just all these people were just lying and lying and lying and lying and lying. So this reminds me of Stephanie, right? This reminds me of anything really, where you don't seem to care about it until it's happening to you. And so what's happening with these ICE agents in Minnesota is now getting so close to home that people are like, hey, wait a minute, this actually could happen to me now. When the reality is, the same fucking people, that's why they all wear. Have you ever seen these videos with ICE agents? Have you seen what's the most important thing to them? The most important thing to these ICE agents repeatedly is to make sure that their mask stays up. Make sure their identity is withheld. And either they are IDF soldiers or they were trained by IDF soldiers. But what you're seeing is IDF tactics. What you're seeing is supremacy, is Semitism in action. Pistol whipping a guy like that just over and over again.
Man. He's on the ground. He's got 7 dudes on him. You have to pistol whip him and then shoot him?
Well, the thing is that they love to do this, but so when you've got 7 people on you and they're not coordinated, one is trying to move you this way, one is moving you this way, one is moving you this way, and it hurts, and they're making you look like you're resisting more because they're pulling you in different directions.
On the goddamn ground. What are you hitting him for?
You're hitting somebody, and they're not supposed to have the natural defense to put their arms up, right?
That guy was probably so scared.
Oh, terrified. Knowing, because he probably knew what was going to happen. But this is you're
just shoot once. You're up close. You shot more than one time. What?
According to Marv, that second shot was why he went to prison. So maybe that guy will go to prison. Although they'll close ranks and we won't know who it is. This is literally.
Oh, today's gonna be bad. That happened.
This is what happens. We'll put the news on. This is what happened. It's hard to compare it necessarily because there's nothing like the United States, right? But this is how this starts. They start coming in with these IDF, ICE. This is ICE. This is ICE. This isn't IDF. This is 2 letters off out of 2. And that's really actually kind of weird when you think about it.
Yeah.
But this is what they do. They're this manufactured police force that shouldn't have the power that they do, but they do.
According to their guidelines, they don't.
According to
But
their
it's
guidelines,
happening.
according to the Constitution, according to everything associated with this doesn't make any sense the way that you're supposed to think things work. But as soon as you sprinkle with some conspiracy,
And you know, that wouldn't have come out. That guy's the only one that got the footage. And he put it on
so
Facebook.
far.
Or Facebook.
Yeah,
and that's the only reason that these guys are anything's gonna happen.
Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing happened to Jonathan Ross. Jonathan Ross, who should have never been on the fucking job to begin with. And are we just gonna find out that after the fact, it's gonna be really weird again? Is it gonna be a born again good was killed? Is it gonna be, or are these the real ones? Because the setups are to get these types of things to happen. Belch.
All those people that saw that.
What about the children? What about all the children that were looking out the window? That was in front of a school, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's terrifying. It's all just fucking terrifying. And it's like, this is one of those I told you so's that I hate, that I take no pleasure in saying. But it's like, all those years where you're telling me I should stop because blah, blah, blah. This is what's going to happen. This is what I've been trying to prevent because you didn't think this was going to happen. You didn't think this was going to happen here. You, in general. Not just her, you. And I was saying, guys, this Palestine is practice. It's practice. They're gonna come here. They're already here. They're gonna start doing it. And at the end of the day, you're either gonna get rounded up as somebody who, at least tried, or you're going to get rounded up as a good sheep. They're going to tell you to start wearing a badge, and you're going to be dumb enough to wear a badge. Just think about what we're learning about, all 7 of us. Maybe it'll just be us 7 that see it when it happens, but do yourself and your family a favor and don't wear the badge. Believe what you need to believe to survive. This is terrifying. God, why do I have kids? I hate that I have kids. This is why I hate that I have kids. Not because I hate my kids or I don't, anything like that. It's because of how much I love them. And the way this is all working out. And all this shit that, I haven't been wrong. If I had been wrong, if in October of 2023, the big fight would have been in China and holy shit, and it had been China this whole time, then I'd have been wrong. If it would have been literally anywhere else in the world, I would have been wrong. But I was very specific in what I said. 6, 7 months earlier, maybe even longer, guys, they're gonna do this by the end. I think it had to be like April, May, or June. Probably closer. I'm going to say May, just to be in the middle. When I said by the end of 2023, they are going to have done whatever they need to do, whatever false flag event they need to do to start the genocide. Because they've already bought the 4,200 slaves to replace the workforce. They're getting the visa waiver program shit pushed through. They're signing pledges by the tens of thousands that they won't serve, they won't fight if there's like a random conflict that happens in the future, where they, that for some reason they would call up all of the reservists, and there would have to be a big war type of event, or where there'd be a lot of killing or whatever, that if there was some sort of fight that happened, they're not going to, in protest, they refuse to serve in some hypothetical conflict that could happen in the future. That's the shit that that's how they did that to us. They did it. I'm not some fucking psychic. I'm not even good at this. It's just really fucking obvious, and I don't know how everybody didn't see it. They were lining the shit up. Bringing Netanyahu in, distracting us with Kanye West, and then bringing Netanyahu in, and then the protests every Saturday, and the signing of the declarations not to partake in any hypothetical conflict, and the buying of the slaves, and the visa waiver programs, and the the Jake Sullivans and the Bidens and all of those guys, Anthony Blinkens, doing everything they can to try to appease everything Israel, setting everything they possibly can up. Yeah, it was pretty fucking obvious what was going to happen. If you didn't see it happening, you weren't paying attention. But most of you weren't paying attention. Prior to October 7th, you didn't know what was going on. I was literally reading the news. I'd put Israel in the Google machine and click news and then sort by date, so I'd get the newest stories. Did that all the time. For a time, I did it every day. That's how I happened to find out about Team Jorge. If I didn't happen to find, the one day that they printed the story, if I didn't happen to look that day, I wouldn't have known about it until I saw a video for it a few months ago. That was the first time I ever saw anyone else talking about it. It stopped at the Hanukkah song for some reason.
This is a song that there's a lot of Christmas songs out there, and not too many Hanukkah songs.
Look at the dumbass. Look at the dumbass comment. Tell me what's if anybody wants to just tell me what thing I'm getting wrong, like, please free me. Free me from this burden. Right? Help me understand what I'm getting wrong, so I can stop doing this. From what I can tell, there's something fucked up going on, and nobody's talking about it. But maybe I'm just crazy. That's why. So if that's the case, and you can show me how I'm just crazy, well, then fucking A. I can stop doing this shit. I can stop feeling obligated to say the right thing. Because I hate this. You get this arrogant bullshit retelling of the Horus myth, And I'm not saying that you're arrogant, but you've been made to be arrogant, right? Because again, and I'm not saying you do it, but all of those stories are just fake. They're just fake bullshit written by the chat GPT bot, whatever that version that they had 200 years ago was, and they just created the narrative that we were supposed to follow. You're going to see in the description of this video, you're going to see after the fact. First, there'll be a link to the website, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. It's free to download, free to listen to. When you click on download, it'll ask you how much you want to pay. You click 0 when it's free, or you can throw a couple bucks in there. We appreciate it. It'll go towards buying ads and shit. The second link you're going to find is one to a movie called Hollywoodism. And Hollywoodism is a 1998 Hollywood sort of movie, like a documentary, but it was like, it wasn't made to be seen in the theaters. Probably wasn't made to be seen by a whole bunch of us. But it's a flex. It's them making this video, this documentary about somehow they created Hollywood. They don't really go into too many details about the creative process, because we don't know that. But they then talk about how they ruled Hollywood with an iron fist. How, the only two Hollywood movies that were made about the Holocaust and Hitler at the time, both of those were made by Goyim. They didn't make any movies about it, none of it, until after they all went to, all the 5 or 6 whatever Hollywood moguls all went to Germany, had some secret meetings, and then suddenly the Holocaust narrative was getting pushed like crazy. I was wondering where you went, Mary. Oh, we have a MAGA person. So we have a Trump supporter. So you, my friend, are acknowledging that you are a pedophile. That's pretty fucked up. The Egyptian religion is almost identical to the Bible, but thousands of years before Jesus. Or so they say. This is the problem with it, is you have to take all of it with a grain of salt, man. You only know what you're told. We only know that thousands of years ago happened because they say thousands of years ago happened. We don't know that shit. We don't have access to any of the official archives or anything like that. We only get to know what they want us to know. And that's how you have to look at all of it. But Hollywoodism will explain to you why you think the way you do. This is a two-parter. First part's easy. First part, you get to sit back and watch a movie on YouTube. It's that second part that's a little more difficult. The second part is the third link. And the third link is to the Israel Hayom, which is Israel's #1 free weekly paper propaganda. Like it was Sheldon Adelson's baby. Sheldon Adelson's baby. It's called Bottom of Darkness. And that article will explain why they think the way they do. It will explain to you how you can have such an insane, genocidal, entitled, moronic, fucking, ruthless, how you can have a group of people that can benefit from genocide, can benefit from supremacy, and not think twice, and defend it, and act like they're the victims. And it's because they've all been made victims. The amount of ritualistic sexual abuse that goes on in that country is unprecedented. And it explains everything. At a young age, they're abused, they're violated. And once they age out, and while they're being violated, they're told that they're chosen for this. They're special because of this. And it's as bad as you can imagine. It's awful. It's a horrendous read. It's really hard to read it too, because they kick you off over and over again, but you have to read it. And once they put them through the ringer until they age out of it, if they survive, then they're forced to do it to little kids themselves once they become, adults at 13, completing that loop. Making it so, they're not going to tell on themselves, are they? And they have to do it to purify themselves because of what, they went through as children. It's so fucked up. just like when Hillary it's so fucked up. Lost the election, and then she seemingly willingly disappeared like Bill's Ask yourself why the Yom Kippur terrorist attack, where the guy supposedly drove a car into something, and the only people, two of the three people killed were actually killed by police. But look into that one a little bit more, and you find out that that guy was trying to get into a room where a bunch of elderly people were in a room with a bunch of children. Not their children, not their grandchildren, children. Yom Kippur is their transcendence, redemption. It's the ultimate redemption, ultimate, they're cast off the sins. It's the number one, even though they have lots of those sort of holidays and ritual bullshit. This is like the number one cast the sins off ritual bullshit. That's what this is, and it just happened to be that they were behind closed doors with a bunch of children on that day. Twins is insane. Yes, it is. You see your fucking Rothschild. Same exact thing with their hold on Hollywood celebrities too. Well, it's chosen. Choose the chosen. Choose the chosen. Like, you don't get chosen unless you're already shown that you're willing to do the thing. And I was trying to talk about Albert Pike, and I got all distracted. And it's all just bullshit, man. 300 pounds. He was 300 pounds in the 1800s. On multiple occasions, he had to walk for more than 500 miles. And yet somehow he was still 300 pounds. Like, this is just insane. This Albert Pike part was just insane. I'm gonna have to come back because I'm exhausted. Huh? So. Stop this song and look up Team Jorge. It's more important than what shows. Oh man, I gotta stop doing this shit. I'm just so fascinated by the learning that I end up getting lost in this shit. And then by the time we hit this point, I'm like dead. I'm exhausted. I can't believe I fucking did this again. But yeah, those links are in the description. And then there's lots of other links in the description that will take you through the receipts. All you have to do is, I challenge you, go click on all the links and then tell me how I'm misinterpreting it, what I'm wrong about, how I'm making it up, whatever you want to. But come at me with facts. This is what I'm going to talk about. When you come back tomorrow begging for attention, then I'm going to be talking about the same kinds of shit. So why don't you do yourself a favor? I literally, I give you all of the ways to defeat me. I provide you with a list of links that I base my information on, that all you have to do is then go watch those same links, go look at everything, and as long as you can debunk it, then I lose. I'm giving you the fucking codes, man. Yes, Mr. Marbles, it is. It's free to download, free to listen to. All we ask is that you share. And it's for those, I'm not expecting teenagers to dig what I do, necessarily. I think, my music is for those that have been kicked in the dick a couple of times. Or the cooch, whatever. I don't want to discriminate. But life has to have kicked you a little bit for you to sort of understand, the maturity in the music.
long as someone feeds the meter, you're just a reader.
Like it's
The meaner the abuse, the more you seem to be amused.
I always say like I make music for 26 and up. But that sort of changed in the recent years with the, when you look at the college campuses and it's the first generation of people to actually stand up and say, fuck Israel out loud. Maybe I underestimated the youth. But I always think like, if you're sick of, for me, this music kind of comes from the fact that I'm just sick of hearing the same song over and over again. Hearing the same Bacardi party, Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes and babies, and, just so sick of the same dumbass songs about nothing, that stimulate nothing, that bring nothing, that educate nothing, that have us nodding our heads, yes, yeah, to nigga, shoot, kills, niggas, bitches, hoes, drugs, niggas, shoots, bitches, niggas, kills. Like, I'm tired of that. Yeah, you know what, I'm guilty. I have my songs that I like when I'm in the right mood. But as I get older, that mood lessens and lessens, and I much more enjoy listening to things that make me think, that inspire me, that make me want to be better, that question things, all of it. I grew up in that 70s revival where music was supposed to have meant something. I grew up hearing that the songs I listened to were protest songs and all that shit. And, and songs like Fortunate Son, things like that, you can hear that. A lot of times there's a lot of metaphor in there that you might have to swim through. You might have to be told what to think. But when I was in school, this is when Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, this is when it all began. The whole evolution of rap thing sort of happened. The Chronic was released and all that. That's when I was in school. But I also was a huge fan of 70s music, 60s music that was supposed to mean something. And I think if you listen, we're a really good combination of that. Where the reality is just look at my beautiful face and tell me I'm not happy. I'm sorry, I got distracted by Matt. Matt said he's 26. Well, I don't think you would have liked this shit a few years ago. Maybe you would have. Maybe it's not even your favorite, and it's just like, yeah, it's okay. Give it another few years. It'll grow on you. I think the big issue, too, is once you start listening to this, then when you go back and you listen to other, especially hip-hop kind of music, it's like you just feel dumb. You're like, okay, yep, good job, Lil Wayne, you're a badass. I absolutely love Eminem's music. I think he's, head and shoulders above everyone else, the greatest MC by far. So much better than me in every way. Except his songs never say anything. Like Revival was a great album. Revival is what he considers his, I hate saying it, his woke album, his awake album. But there are some really amazing songs on there. That one with Alicia Keys, I don't even know what it's called. But it's amazing. And there are lots of songs on there where he actually says some shit. The majority of the album is him crying about not getting enough respect and how he's better than everybody else and, that kind of shit. But he does venture into saying something that matters at least a little bit. Which is really, that song with him and Alicia Keys should have been all over the radio. That was absolutely a radio banger that would have gone down as one of the best. That song would have been huge. But obviously, it was shut down from the top because it talk directly about Trump.
If I'm not your God's plan, then I'll say that's proof it exists.
But I encourage you to go get your free download.
Christians, Jews, and Scientologists. All the African nonsense you don't know exists. All focus this system demands. Horse on its locust with the face of a man. Can you prove that the hand of God isn't writing these lyrics commanding the thunder and lightning you're finding so frightening? You're cursing and mad for enlightening you on your sky. Prove God's not a TBG fan. Prove it doesn't want you sharing this song. Prove that God will
This
use
song
this
is amazing.
man
The
that
beat
your
is awesome.
God's
Yes, I agree. This song is amazing. I love this song.
Prove the fit hitting the shed.
I think this is one of our best
Prove that
songs.
your God is pissed.
It's hard to say that about your kids. Pick your best kids, but I think this is one of our best songs. Especially, not just the beat, but what's actually said is fucking. I did a really good job on this one. My metaphors and the concept behind the song is just right on. It all just works.
Same year, summer solstice. The cusp between
I was really excited. I knew this would bring the best out of him. I wasn't expecting this, but I knew it would bring the best out of him.
To make Guy, son of Guy, and Mary.
I wish he would make more beats like this. But the funny thing is, like, as the years go by and then I go back and I listen to the old songs, I wouldn't have them any other way. You know, every song, but maybe a couple, are exactly what I want. I wouldn't change them. They're as great as, they're just great. He's so fucking ahead of his time. Unfortunately, you know, that kind of genius doesn't usually get appreciated until it's too late. But you guys have yourself a wonderful day. Awesome. Yeah, the beat helps, you know what I'm saying? I agree with you, Matt. It was a great one. You guys have yourself a wonderful day, and you pedophiles, kill yourself.